All right, everybody, welcome back to the Lions Pit podcast. I am your host, Nick Gomez. With me today is the one and only Brad Womack. Man, I am so happy to have you on here. And to be honest with you, I was a little nervous when I had Juan on. I was a little more nervous to have you on because you were one of the first people I met it on it. I don't know if you realize that. When I first started as an employee, John Wolf was giving me a tour.
Okay.
And love John. I'm going to have him on the podcast soon.
Sure.
Hopefully. But he's giving me a tour and he's taking me back through sports performance.
Okay.
And you're back there just getting it. And at first, I kid you not, I was like, is he in the NFL? I'm not even kidding, because you're just a unit and you're back there like going hard as shit.
Thank you.
And I'm like, man, I was like, that guy's got to be an athlete. And then I thought maybe you were a coach. I was like, all right, maybe he's a coach. And then like a few days later, I think I was talking to Larry.
Right.
I was like, man, I can't remember the super nice guy. I met him back in sports performance today, just a unit. Like real like thick southern draw. I was like, I think he's a coacher, and he's like, that doesn't sound like any of our coaches. I was like, I'm gonna get back to you on that. And then I came back, I was like, oh, his name's Brad. He's like, oh, Brad, everybody loves Brad. He's like, no, he's not a coach here, but you might as well be.
Jeez, well, first of all, I don't deserve that intro at all. And my palms are sweating. I'm dead serious, but thank you so much.
That's hilarious.
For having me. And I want to say, I've been anticipating this only because I think the absolute world of you.
Thank you.
And to sing your praises a little bit, just how you carry yourself as a man and as a coach. And so those words mean a lot to me coming from you. So thanks, man, very much.
Yeah, well, you're such a good ambassador for what, not only for, again, not to just be throwing compliments at each other.
Sure.
But I've always thought that about you, like as a man, the way you carry yourself, because of who you are and what you represent, like you could kind of have your nose in the air a little bit if you wanted to. But you are the most humble and the kindest person. Like every time you're in the gym, if I'm bringing, I think I've introduced you to my little sister. I've introduced you to girlfriends before, which was a scary situation. I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. This is a true trust fall right here.
Come on.
But I'm like, you got to meet Brad. He's the best. And so again, to kind of share the same sentiment, like I think the world of you. I think you're such a good dude, and I think you're such an inspiration for what a man should be. And I think that's why so many men at the gym come up to you like moths to a light. You know what I'm saying? Like they see how you carry yourself and how you represent yourself, and I think in an ideal world, like most men or all men should.
I really appreciate that. Frankly, I'm taken aback by that. Thank you very much. I don't know what else to say to that one, but I really appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm so fortunate to have you on again. Stoked.
Likewise. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like we almost cut a full episode before we even put it that.
But I like it. I told you, man. Again, I find you fascinating for many reasons. I see how you coach. I see how much time and effort you put into your clients.
Yeah.
I see how much time and effort you put into yourself. And so I want to learn more about you, though, because what I see is what I see it on it. And you obviously have so much more depth, And so you're right. Whenever I sat down before we were rolling and all of this, again, I'm so anxious to learn about you. So I apologize for jumping to it too quickly.
No apologies.
But I would love to learn about your background and everything like that. What got you here? It's so impressive. I'll say it again, man, that you have this podcast. Look where you're sitting. And for a guy like you, and I'm going to repeat verbatim what I said when we first sat down, but for a guy like you that already has such a full plate with clients, with personal life and everything like that, to take on something like this of this magnitude, I'm very impressed, but I'm also curious as to why. And obviously you're a highly motivated person, right? Where does that come from? And I'm not trying to steal your thunder as the host.
No.
But I really am really fascinated by that because, again, I see you show up every day and on it.
Yeah.
You obviously have to show up here. Where does that drive come from? I need some of it.
Yeah, well, dude, the drive comes from so many people relying on me.
Yeah.
I kid you not.
Who?
My family.
Yeah.
It's all, everything I do is for my family.
Yeah.
I love my family. I pray for my family nightly, daily. So kind of to backtrack a little bit, and it's funny you say like you want to get into this. It actually works out well because I've been thinking, I was like, because probably in another episode or two, because this is not recorded live, I'll start dropping episodes. And I keep thinking, I was like, man, I should probably film like maybe just a 15, 20-minute episode where I kind of get into my story.
Sure. Yeah.
So this is actually kind of great. But man, so in 2009, I was 21. I was a college athlete. And, not really, a typical 21-year-old.
Okay.
And I was home, and I was home like around it was mid-April, and I was home with my family, and I was helping out with the high school baseball team where I went to high school.
Okay.
And they were about 45 minutes away on the other side of the mountain where I lived in Albuquerque. So I was in Albuquerque. I was coaching at Moriarty High School, and it was kind of like a cold, snowy day, which is weird. In New Mexico snows, like it's mile high altitude,
Sure.
so it's high desert. And it was just, but it was kind of weird because it was mid-April, and it was like it was a cold day. So I remember calling the coach, and backtrack a little bit. Like my dad had come in. I was on the laptop, and my dad came in. He's like, "Hey, he's like, do you want to help me go move some stuff off a lot? I got to go clear a lot," because he was selling mobile homes at the time. And I'm like, yeah, like I can do that. Let me just call the head coach at the high school and let him know that I'm not going to come in today. I was like, weather's bad anyway. Like they're probably just going to do like an indoor practice, nothing serious.
Yeah.
Call the coach. I'm like, hey, if you don't need me today, I'm gonna stay in Albuquerque, help my dad all this stuff. He's like, yeah, that's fine. And then maybe 10, 15 minutes later, my sister calls me. She's like, hey, I'm gonna drive through Taco Bell. Like, do you want anything? See if dad wants anything. Like, call me back. I'm like, all right, cool. And I go into my parents' bedroom to ask my dad if he needs anything or if he wants anything from Taco Bell. And he's unconscious. He's laying face down on the bed. His little, we had a miniature dachshund at the time named Lucy, and she's just panicking. And at the time, I don't know what's going on. I'm like yelling, like, Dad, what's going on? Are you choking? What's going on? What's going on? And so I call 911. And they're walking me through the process. To be honest with you, and this kind of goes into why I do everything I do. But the only thing I regret about that day, or the only thing I wish could have been different about that day, other than obviously my dad passing away. So I called 911, and I'm sitting there yelling at my dad, and my little sister comes upstairs. That's the part I wish changed. I just wish she wasn't home.
Sure.
I could have done it all on my own. I just wish she was not home that day, because that's the only part that like still chokes me up to today.
Of course.
And
of course.
Yeah, because she didn't need to be there.
You're right.
She didn't need to see that. I could have handled it.
Sure.
Even today, like I still believe I could have just done it all on my own.
Yeah.
But so I'm yelling. She comes in. She's like, "Why are you yelling at Dad? He's left for work already." And I'm like, "God damn it, Georgie, get the hell out of here."
Yeah.
And so I had to hand her the phone to talk to 911 because I started doing CPR on my dad.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever been around someone that's having a heart attack. I don't know the exact time, but like maybe every 30 seconds, it kind of sounds like they're snoring.
Okay.
And it's just their body trying to, get air.
Yeah.
And so like I said, I didn't know if he was choking. I didn't know if he was having a heart attack. I didn't know what's going on, but they tell me I got to start doing CPR on him. So I'm doing CPR on him. My little sister has to handle 911. And we lived right behind a fire department. So they got there within like 5 minutes. They were great. They were fantastic, the first responders. So they do all they can. They give him adrenaline shots, like everything they could do. And they take him to the hospital. I remember that whole situation. I remember that, like, seeing him getting taken out on a stretcher. I was like, okay, that's not my dad anymore. That's just a vessel that used to be my dad.
Yeah.
And so we go to the hospital. We're sitting in the emergency room, and everyone's on pins and needles because my little sister Georgie were the only one that were there, and my little sister Georgie. I don't really remember how she was in this moment. But I remember, like I said, everybody like anxiously waiting for the doctor to come in. And doctor comes in, and the doctor was great. He's asking questions. He's like, who was home with them? What happened? And so I'm giving him a full rundown on everything that had happened that day. And he's like, all right, well, I regret to inform you, like, he didn't make it. And so that's when everyone broke down. And I just sat there. I was like, all right, like, now I have to go. Like, my life is different now. And so I remember thinking, I was like, I probably would have cried if they said he was alive. Like, that would have surprised me more than anything. Like I said, everyone broke down when they said he passed away, but like I said, if they told me he was alive, that's when I would have broke down. So ever since then, I'm like, I have an older brother I love dearly. Tremendous guy, but he's struck. We all struggle.
Sure.
But so ever since my dad passed away, I feel like it's been on me. It's been on me to get my family where my dad wanted us to go. And so that's why I do what I do.
Man, I got to tell you, first of all, I'm very sorry about that. I know life happens.
Yeah.
I obviously had no idea about that. From what little I see, you have assumed that role exceptionally well.
No, thank you.
From what little I know about you, and I appreciate you sharing that. I know that has to be brutal.
Yeah.
To relive and talk about. It's a really a profound thing to take something so tragic and turn it around into essentially a life's mission. to step up. A lot of people, I think, would have shattered.
Yeah.
And it shows resolve. It shows strength, which of course you have physically and obviously internally.
Thank you.
So, man, you know, when I say job well done, it means nothing coming from me, but you're doing it, man, and no doubt he's proud. I'm really sorry about that. Again, I had no idea.
Well,
and I apologize for asking you to drum that.
No. That is literally why I wanted to start the podcast.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Because the times I have shared that story, like, people reach out to me and they're like, "Thank you for sharing."
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's share on a grand scale.
Yeah.
Because and this is what I was telling Mike too, our buddy Mike Gonzalez.
Yeah.
In one last episode. You never know who your story is going to help.
You're exactly right.
And if my podcast reaches nobody but helps one person, cool. I completed a mission. Because had I heard my story at times I needed to hear my story,
right, it
would have given me hope. It would be like, oh, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Sure.
And the way I carry myself, like, as you know, when something bad happens, it can happen to you or for you. You can be a victim or you can let it be your origin story.
100%.
And why people are wired different. I thank God every day that I didn't take the mindset of a victim.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why I didn't, and I gotta probably give thanks to my dad for that, because my dad worked through some tough stuff.
Sure.
And but people in my family have taken different routes to that situation, and I know for 100% certainty that's why I was there that day.
Yeah.
God put me there that day because I could handle it, and like I said, I'm thankful every day that I didn't take a victim mindset, because it has led me on such a tremendous path. It took a while. It took a while to get the tires going to pavement after that.
Sure.
I think there obviously was like initial shock, but I quit playing college baseball.
I was going to ask.
Yeah. Playing college baseball at that time. Tried to revisit it a couple of years later, but I was already past my eligibility since I had started. I don't know if you know, but in NCAA, you have essentially 5 years to play 4 seasons, because you can redshirt a year.
Okay.
But that clock starts as soon as you start college.
Okay.
So like I had buddies that were Mormons, and they went on a mission out of high school. So they would come back to college at 20, 21 years old, but they would still have all 4 years of their eligibility. Or you hear guys like a Russell Wilson, or I don't know if you remember Chris Wanke from Florida State. Like they went and played professional baseball first. And since they didn't start football or college right away, they could go back and play college football.
Okay.
So that's why Chris Wanke was older, and you see that happen from time to time. Guys that like got drafted for baseball, tried it out for a couple of years, didn't pan out. They went back and played college football.
Gotcha.
They're a 25-year-old senior versus like a 21-year-old senior in college.
Understood.
Yeah. So my college eligibility was up at that point, so I didn't go back to playing college baseball. But yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of people tell me like, thank you for sharing your story, because I've always been very open about it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you never know who's going to help.
Can I ask you something? Is your mom still alive?
Yep.
Okay. Are you guys close?
Very.
Okay.
Talk every day.
And I hope, do you receive acknowledgement for stepping up?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My two, my little sister Georgie and my older sister Miranda, and then my mom.
Yeah.
And even my brother, my older brother, we've had talks where he's like, man, when did you become the big brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like,
good. That's what Dad would have wanted.
Man, I love this.
Yeah.
And again, not to air out too much, but
hey, air it out.
You had mentioned before growing up with little.
Yeah.
So, do you help your family financially these days?
Wait, yeah, when I can.
Yeah.
Because I'm still making it my own.
Aren't we all, buddy? I hear you. I hear you.
But yeah, absolutely. When I can, I can.
Yeah.
I've had to, whether it's helping with prescriptions or
sure, man.
Whatever, picking up my nephews from school, whatever I can do to help. I'm very involved.
Yeah.
With my nephews' lives and with my mom and my sisters for sure.
Well, job well done, man. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously look at you as a man, and so anyway, job well done. I'm sorry, I'll say that one last time, and
it's one of those things like I fully appreciate you apologizing,
sure.
But if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am today. Yeah.
Well, even gaining that perspective, and so. It sounds like it's invaluable for your personal growth.
Yeah.
Hell, it sounds like it's invaluable for your family's benefit, and you know what I mean by that.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I've had that take for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Where I'm like,
sure.
It, by no means, I miss my dad every day, and we're coming up on his birthday. Actually Thursday, so in 2 days is my dad's birthday.
Okay. Yeah.
And so like I said, I miss him every day, but it is one of those things where it's like, I've thought about like, man, how different would I be if he was still around? Would I still be like relying on other people?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
and again, my dad was amazing.
Yeah,
Phenomenal
sure.
guy. Everybody loved him. At his service, it was standing room only.
Of course.
He struggled. And we'll get into this when we talk about like my early childhood.
Yeah.
Because we kind of talked about that. We touched on that before we started recording.
Sure.
But there was never a point where I never doubted his love for us.
Yeah.
Because like there will be stories where I'll tell and people will be like, "Man, your dad was kind of a wild guy." And it's like he was for sure, but I think it was his passion. His passion sometimes got portrayed as like anger or rage.
Okay.
I think he was just a very passionate guy.
Yeah.
You mix that with certain substances, it's going to come out in a bad way.
Sure, man.
And but I never for a second doubted how much he loved us, how much he loved my mom, and he would have done anything for his kids.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, ever since he passed away, I've kind of been like, all right, like I have to do all I can to make sure my family's okay.
I love that, man. Do you mind getting into your childhood? I'm and again, I know this is your podcast.
Yeah, no.
I love this though, man. I've wanted so badly to learn about you. So please tell me about your childhood.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
It was funny because you know Carl at the gym.
Of course.
Yeah, Carl's
Yeah.
the man.
Yeah. Love that guy.
So I don't. Hopefully, I'm not speaking too much on his behalf, but his dad recently passed away, probably within the last year and a half, I think.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so I remember talking to him, and I kind of shared that story with him and a little bit more about my past, and he looks at me, he's like, "Man, Nick, I would have never been able to tell." I was like, "That's the point. I am an emotional guy. I wear my heart on my sleeve, 100%. I cry during Hallmark commercials.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'm not gonna let what's happened to me in the past dictate who I am in a negative way moving forward.
Sure.
Like I'm not gonna walk around like a sad, mopey guy, like I got a dagger in my back, because sometimes it feels like that. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you question, like, and I hate it, but sometimes you question like, why does this keep happening? Why do all these bad things keep happening? And it's like, no. Life is so good. Life is so good if you just open your eyes and look around. Like, don't look. Sure, look internally to solve your problems.
Yeah.
But if you look around, like there's so many good things happening. It's funny. I had this like internal dialogue last night, and I don't even know why. Oh, so I recently got a new dog.
Okay.
Kind of a side note.
Yeah.
Recently got a new dog, and he reminds me so much of my old dog that passed away last March.
Okay.
And my old dog passed away from cancer.
Oh, wow.
And watching him die from cancer, honestly, I think it was because of the fact that I didn't go into shock like I did when my dad passed away. So watching my dog slowly die from cancer hurt.
Of course.
Almost like more than when my dad passed away.
Yeah.
Like, so I think it's just, and I don't mean that in like a cold kind of way. Cause like I love my dad.
Sure.
Like, so I kind of went into shock when my dad passed away. And when my dog passed away, like it tore me for weeks. I was sad.
Yeah.
And so last night I'm looking at my dog, and then it made me think of my last dog, and then which led me down a little rabbit hole of like darker thoughts. And I was like, wait a minute. I kid you not. You're gonna laugh. I had the thought, I was like, man, tomorrow I get to have an interview with the great guy. And it totally like changed my mood of like, yeah, tomorrow I get to be in this beautiful studio, talking to someone that I really appreciate. And I was like, life is good. Like, I don't need to you don't need to fester on the dark thoughts or dark memories. It's like, no. Tomorrow is something great's going to happen. And I had that thought last night.
I really appreciate that perspective, man. Yeah. It's
tough, man.
I mean, great is debatable whether that's worth, but I'm glad you have, I don't know, the ability to reach into those, into the back of your mind and maybe pull out some positivity.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it can get clouded, of course. And,
yeah. I rely a lot on my faith.
Yeah, I know you do.
I'm a big man of faith.
Yeah.
And I'm not like super into scripture.
Sure.
Like I can't like for any situation I can't just drop a Bible verse on you.
Yeah.
But I've never doubted God's plan for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never doubted, and it's funny. I had this conversation on different episodes where, like, even as a poor homeless child, I was wondering, I'm like, who's gonna play me in when they make a movie about my life?
Yeah.
I was like, I just had this like inner drive where I was like, I'm destined for great things.
Yeah.
And again, where that comes from, I don't know. I honestly believe it comes from my dad.
Yeah, of course.
My dad was such a great guy.
Of course.
But I was like I said, so kind of to go back into my past.
Yeah, please.
I was born in California.
Okay.
Glendora, California, like LA County.
Yeah.
My parents are amazing. I can't say enough good things about them, but they struggled. And so legitimately my earliest memories are living in a homeless shelter. It was called the Door of Hope. It was a Christian-based homeless shelter in Pasadena, California. And I remember, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I worked with John Jones, the UFC fighter.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, I was part of 4 camps with John, one of his coaches. We became very good friends, and I remember talking to him because after our sessions, he'd get some tissue work done, and he's laying on the table getting work done, and I had nothing else to do that day, so he was a buddy of mine, so we just sat around kind of shooting the shit, and I remember starting to like talk to him about like some goals and some dreams I have, and he's like, use me. He's like, use me how you need to use me, because he's a name, obviously.
Of course.
And I told him, I was like, man, I remember, I was like, I've just had this thought where I just cut like a $10,000 check or whatever amount to the Door of Hope, like the homeless shelter that I grew up in. Well, I shouldn't say I grew up in there, but those are my earliest memories are at the homeless shelter. And I remember, I kid you not, like I remember the inside of it, like hardwood floors, like a dark, like rich wood, multiple story home, shitty little like play school, like kitchenette outside that the kids would play on. And I remember it disgusting, but it was like kind of all we had. And then I remember getting in a fight over some toys with another kid in the shelter. And like, those are my earliest memories. Yeah. Living in that homeless shelter. And then kind of, I remember like living in a couple different hotel rooms. Yeah. But man, like I said, you know, it's one of those things, like I don't blame my parents for that by any means. Yeah. Because they were trying their best. Of course. Like if I were to ask my parents, like my mom hates when I tell those stories, by the way.
Does she?
Yeah, so sorry, Mom. Because, she feels bad. Yeah. You know, as any mom would. Like, we should have done more. And I think a lot of that's where my dad's anger came from.
Well, but like you said, they were trying their best.
Yeah, and that's what I tell my mom.
Yeah, absolutely. So she should be damn proud.
She should be, because she raised some really good kids.
Yes, she did.
And, but like I said, it's still hard for her to talk about that.
Sure.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's one of those things that really, I look back and, you know, as weird as it is, like I'm thankful for it.
Yeah.
Like I've said this before, like I thank God for the hard times.
Yeah.
Because that makes me who I am today. Like men aren't made on easy times. In fact, weak men are made on easy times. And that's, you know, there's a famous saying that goes along that line. But man, the hard times will show you who you are and show you like what you're capable of. And there's no doubt in my mind after like what I've gone through that like, I don't think anything can slow me down.
Right.
Yeah.
And what an invaluable perspective on that too, you know. I mean, same way we grew up pretty rough, and you know, I don't know, you know, financially and otherwise, it was just rough, and there were times of it was almost feast or famine in our family.
Yeah.
And so
how many brothers do you have?
So I have a twin brother and a little brother.
Okay.
And then my mom got married to her second husband. He had 3 kids.
Okay.
So when we were growing up, it was a family of 6 kids and our parents. They got divorced. And then, you know, at that time, I think Chad and I, my twin brother, we were 18 or something. And so anyway, no, we were 16. Okay. But bottom line, we grew up with a big family, you know. But we also grew up learning, unfortunately, that people were kind of disposable. And only because people came and left.
Sure.
Throughout our lives and stuff like that. But, and I won't bore you with a story, but with a long story.
I don't know. I want to hear it.
But my mom's second husband seemingly did really well. And you know, we didn't know any better anyway, but we had a lot. I'm telling you this for a reason.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, without warning, we moved to Texas. We were in Georgia at the time, and we were 12 or 13 years old. And moved to Texas, and we moved into a home that was a literal shack, no HVAC, no central air, nothing. And but it was a culture shock. I mean, we were a lot young kids and wondering what was going on. Bottom line is my stepfather had lost his job without even telling my mom. Oh, wow. And played this facade for about a year. He'd drive into Houston. I can't make this stuff up. Yeah. And just walk around the mall. He didn't tell my mom anything. And so she eventually found out you can only play that charade so long, and
runs out.
Yeah. And so, but I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you this, like you. And then we lost. We had nothing. We had literally nothing. But those days I wouldn't trade for anything. One, my brothers and I, you know, you gain strength and tenacity.
Yeah.
But also, man, I got to tell you, I don't take a single thing for granted in my life. Yeah. You know, I mean, not a single thing. And every day I'm very grateful. For anything that I have, and I mean little things like a meal. I'm not kidding. And so, anyway, so it taught us some pretty good lessons. One, never rely on material things to make you happy. That stuff is so superficial,
so valuable.
You know, and 2, be grateful for what you have, because a lot of things can be gone in an instant.
In an instant.
Yeah. So anyway, but it's somewhat similar to you. You've
Absolutely.
obviously grown up working for everything you have, and so have I, and that's why I appreciate literally every single thing I have or don't have.
Right. Yeah. I'm grateful for the things I don't have.
Sure.
Too. And I'm so grateful for the things that weren't handed to me.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on this a little bit before about how I keep getting put in front of such amazing people.
Sure.
It's one of those things that I'm still taken aback by the amount of people I meet that want to see me succeed.
Yeah.
Because growing up the way we did, and I told you this, I felt like I didn't deserve anything.
Yeah.
Because the houses were shit. I mean, we're in single wide mobile homes that have half-ass swamp coolers. So, and like, I remember I had a girlfriend one time, and she, like, as I'm falling asleep, she would, like, kind of like, tickle your face a little bit.
Sure.
And I could not stand it. And she's like, why? And I was like, because it reminds me of all the times as a kid I was woken up to flies.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because like we'd be in these trailers, and half the screens were missing.
Sure.
And I remember one screen was definitely my fault, because my dog that I had at the time, there was clearly another dog in the neighborhood that was in heat.
Yeah.
He just jumped through the screen.
Yeah.
Like, off the couch through the window. Luckily the window was open. So, but with the swamp cooler being so shitty, during the summer we'd have to have the windows open.
Sure.
And so I'd be woken up to like little flies buzzing on my face. And so, yeah, I know, such a weird little trigger. Man, but every time I'd like start to doze off, like if you give you like a little tickle on the beard or something, I'd like stop.
Man, this poor girl's trying to be sweet.
I know. Probably why I'm single today. But
no, I hear you. We at least had a double wide. Maybe, see, I'm one up in you now. I'm bragging about it.
Yeah.
But no, I hear you, man. Isn't that funny how those memories, just struggled.
Yeah.
Or and so.
But it shapes us into who we are today. And again, the fact that like we can be appreciative of so little. And I mean, we had this talk the other day at the gym, because I saw you post about all these cool things you've seen, done, owned, whatever. And like, I would so much rather have a good conversation than any of this.
I want to elaborate on that. I'm going to call myself out on that.
Yes.
And because some people caught it, some people didn't. And I give you my word. This isn't what they call a humble brag. This is calling myself out.
Yeah.
It's a criticism. I owned everything in that picture at one time, and some at the same
cool
time.
Stuff in that picture.
Well, yeah, but it's shameful to me.
Yeah.
And the reason I posted that, and the guys that and the people that really know me, said, "Hey, man, that's pretty big of you to call yourself out." You know, and because I'm going to tell you, when you come from nothing, and I always thought that once I started making a living, that I wouldn't get caught up in material stuff, and I did. And that endless chase, and like, so what's enough? Yeah. And I posted all of that stuff only because, it very temporarily filled a void and made me happy and all of that. But I remember even at the time of owning those things over a duration, again, I was ashamed, and I felt so hollow. And I felt embarrassed at who I was, and I got rid of everything, like literally everything. And I do mean that from the bottom of my heart. I would much rather sit down and have a conversation with someone I respect and admire, or even just met, that has substance.
See, if that has depth to it,
than drive a cool car, live in an expensive, or whatever. I don't care. I really don't care. So it's putting myself in check about saying and admitting very publicly that I got lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is huge.
Well, I appreciate that.
It speaks to you as a man.
Well, I appreciate that very much, man. And I'm still learning. Still learning. But I'm telling you, man, I don't need much at all. And you said something earlier about imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Buddy, I've struggled with that for my entire life. Yeah. And still to this day, I'm going to tell you, sitting in this chair, I'm wondering why I'm here talking to you. Meaning, what do I have of interest?
Yeah.
And in business, I don't measure up to these guys. Trying to train it on it, I don't measure up to these guys. But I damn sure try to give my best, right? Yeah. And to try to fight that. But that's a hard thing to overcome, man. Yeah. And I'm going to suffer for it, with it for life. I just am.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think you're the same?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think I've been fortunate enough to where I've had the rug pulled out from underneath me so many times.
Me too.
I've had trying to be someone else.
Yep.
And I've said this before. Like I felt like even you said I brought up earlier. I think off camera that I used to be married.
Yeah.
I was married in my mid-20s. Got divorced at 28, and literally, I mean, had to hit the reset button.
Yeah.
And all of my life plans went out the window. And so I tell people, like young coaches like Gino or other guys at the gym, that are like tearing themselves apart mentally at 24, 25 years old. I'm like, brother, it gets better. I didn't start to figure it out till I was 28. Yeah. For me, I'm grateful I started then, because there's people that are still trying to figure it out.
Sure.
And I think that imposter syndrome just would hit so hard. And even coming into the studio, meeting some of the amazing people I've met, and it is one of those things, like I told you, growing up so poor, I told, I think I was telling Mike this, kind of felt like Aladdin, like the street rat. And I was like, I don't have a genie. That Aladdin had the genie to come out of those circumstances.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I felt like I didn't deserve the pretty girl. I didn't deserve the Jasmine. I didn't deserve the nice house, the nice car, whatever.
Sure.
And it's like, no, like if you, and again, me falling back on my faith, and I've always been a big believer in this. Like, if you truly believe that you are a child of God, then how do you not believe that you deserve everything that your heart, not necessarily desires, but everything that like God has planned for you?
Sure.
Like if you believe that you're come from that lineage, then like how do you not believe that you have royalty running through your blood?
Man, you know, I'm really, really happy that you have that to as a foundation, meaning spirituality and religion. And I'm going to tell you, I struggle with. I'm going to be very open with you right now, man. So my mom's second husband was extremely religious, extremely.
Yeah.
And I mean, extremely to the extreme. And so the reason I'm bringing this up, you know, without getting too deep, there was some stuff that went on in our household that went against any kind of Christianity or religion out there, right? The dude was rough, man. And so, and the congregation or the church that we belonged to, there was stuff going on amongst the members that actually made public news. There was scrutiny and all this. Like, it was one of those big, almost Joel Osteen style churches. So what I'm getting at is, frankly, my examples of religion have all been very hypocritical. It's almost been self-serving to the individual as opposed to serving an actual God. And so, but as I get older, I find myself surprisingly, again, I'm going to admit this because I've always been the type that if this is religion, I don't want any part of it, because at least if nothing else, I'm not a hypocrite.
Right, yeah. It left such a bad taste in your mouth.
It did.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that I lived with a very high moral compass, or tried to. And so, and treat people with, I follow a lot of the things that are written in the Bible. Anyway, and I don't want to ramble. But these days, I have quite a few, thank God, friends like you that probably it's not an accident that are coming into my life. Yeah. Right? And that want to at least not spread the word so much, but at least say, hey, this is what I believe, and I see that it's bringing in positivity. Yeah. I find myself as an older man trying to look for that. That's the best way I can put it.
Awesome.
And so I appreciate your faith. I appreciate the friends that try to reach out to me, and I'm trying to grasp at it. Yeah. And I'll be honest, it's the first time in a long time that I am. My grandparents were very religious in a good way. Yeah. And that's another thing I think I owe it to them. Yeah. And so, and I want to believe so much that there's more out there. Again, I'm just being open, buddy.
Yeah. But that comes to you kind of being humble. Yeah. Right. Because you've had this realization of what material doesn't give you.
Yes, sir.
And believing in something bigger than yourself is again the ultimate like humbleness. Like,
yeah, sure.
You're not like, I am it. I am the guy. I am all that there is.
Oh no,
there's no way. And it seemed, like I said, based off this conversation that we were having, it seems like you are discovering that. Like, no, there's so much more to this world than me. And like, what can I do to help? What can I do to give? Yeah. How can I spread positivity?
Absolutely.
And my pastor, I love to death. He's a great guy, and I hope to have him on the podcast someday.
Sure.
He's so big on, he's like, you know, through and through American Texan, like good dude.
Yeah.
But when we talk about things that politically are very controversial right now, he's like, don't be a Bible thumper. Don't be that guy trying to force the word down people's throat, because that's the biggest way to turn them away.
Sure.
It's like, invite them into your house. Invite them to your dinner table.
Yeah.
Like, if that's someone that, before you invite them to church, invite them to your dinner table.
Yeah.
Show them how a Christian loves. Show them what that means.
Yeah.
Despite your sins, no matter what, because we all sin. We're all sinners.
Yes, we are.
Some sins are different than others. None are bigger than others.
Right.
Sins are sins. And he's like, love them.
Yeah.
Love them regardless, despite their sin, and show them. Maybe that'll be the light that shows them a different way.
I like that. I like that approach. You know, and I no doubt try to live my life loving my fellow man.
Yeah.
I no doubt undoubtedly try to spread positivity.
Yeah.
I try to embrace light and all of that, and return that same light, you know. So a lot of things I try to follow, but I'll admit, man, I want so desperately to believe that there's a creator. I want so desperately to believe that, you know, I don't know, there's something so much bigger than us. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a purpose.
Sure. Well, purpose, of course.
Yeah. Like, a life without purpose is you're just going through the motions. Man,
I couldn't agree more. And so anyway, I'm very appreciative and thankful that, because you mention it often in a positive way, and I love seeing people that have conviction and faith in whatever they believe.
Well, so going back to when I was married,
sure,
I listed people before. I feel like I was playing a role that wasn't written for me. I was living someone else's purpose.
Okay,
and that's why I really think that, like, my life started at 28.
Yeah,
like, that's when I started to figure things out. That's when I started to see my purpose. And I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, and I feel a lot of people, yourself included, kind of fall into this category of like, we're here to help.
Absolutely.
I'm here to help, whether it's sharing my story or helping someone get in better shape, because I don't think I've ever shared this with you, but I used to be 230 very soft pounds.
What are you talking about, man?
Yeah, I've been an athlete my whole life. Always kind of like a chubby athlete, like I am now.
Come on, man.
After college, I got married, and not a knock on my ex-wife by any means.
Sure, of course.
But I gave up so much of who I was to help build her.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of instances where we did that throughout our relationship, but sadly, it kind of led to the downfall. There were other things that played, nothing wild, but other things that played when we got divorced.
Yeah.
But I wasn't holding up to my end of the bargain. I was not being a leader. I was not being a provider for the household.
Yeah.
I was just along for the ride. But there was nothing within that motivated me to be that guy.
Sure.
And when you get the rug pulled out from underneath you, you have to be the hero of your own story.
Yeah.
And Aubrey Marcus talks about that in his book, On the Day. But you have to be the hero of your own story. If you truly want to live the life that you want to live, no one else is going to come save you.
You're damn right.
But like I said, I 1,000% that God has put that belief in me. And I fall back on my faith often. And like I said, it's just one of those things where I've always felt like God has a plan for me. And
sure.
But when I was married, I was not living up to that.
Do you want to get married again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You dating anybody right now? Am I getting too much into
No,
business? No, I see the hesitation.
Yeah, well...
All right, and cut.
Yeah, cut. No, I'm kidding. There's a girl that I've been talking to on and off for a while. There's distance between us. She lives in Fort Worth.
Okay.
In Austin. But she's such a good woman. Like, she's former military, Division I soccer player.
Yeah.
A hell of a shot with a pistol.
Careful.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But there's so many like little things that I admire about her. Like I said, she's a good shot with a pistol. She's a really good driver, which I appreciate. Because there's times where she had to follow me. I'm like, all right, don't get lost.
Yeah.
She's just on my tail all the time. I'm like, all right, let's
sure.
go. Like, this is a woman I can have kids with.
Yeah.
And so it to me it comes down to God's plan.
Yeah.
Because there's time where there's difficulty and there's struggle, but I always find comfort in knowing that there's God's plan. My pastor told this story recently. He's a huge Texans fan.
Okay.
And he, obviously on Sundays, he's busy, my pastor. So he records all the Texans games. And there'll be times where like his friends will like intentionally try to ruin his day and text him to score.
Yeah.
And so there's times where he already knows the Texans have won.
Right.
But he'll watch the game anyway, and they're losing in the fourth quarter. They just threw an interception. He's like, oh man, like how do they get out of this mess?
Yeah.
It's like, that's how faith works. You have to know you already won.
Yeah.
You have to know you already won because you have Jesus with you.
Yeah.
And knowing that you've already won is like, you can kind of sit back and be like, all right, let's see how this plays out because I know I win in the end.
Yeah.
And having that approach to life is amazing.
I'm not kidding. The reason I'm looking at you the way I am is I was sitting here once again and just want to say how fortunate you are to have that faith, and maybe I'm missing that. I am, meaning in a literal sense, and so, and figurative actually, but I'm missing that, man, and so I'm glad you have that resource,
Yeah.
and I think we all need something,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I'm just happy.
How many times you stressed out in a situation in life and it ends up being just fine?
Of course,
The agony of the thought was more wrenching than what actually happened.
it's funny. My twin brother Chad and I, we talk about this all the time. We're both overthinkers. We're both very, and I mean very exhaustingly, overly analytical.
Yeah.
Okay, and we just are, and for whatever reason, and we always talk about that because we always see the worst in every situation. I don't care if it's, hey, we're going to the coast. Jesus, I wonder how traffic's going to be.
Yeah.
Or, hey, let's build this business plan. No, it's going to fail. I mean, it can run the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes exhausting. And 9 out of 10 times, the end result is nowhere near as bad as you paint, or as we paint that picture.
Yeah,
right?
I think most humans are wired to be like that.
Yeah. And maybe it would be nice to have some faith or whatever to rely on and say, hey, look, man, it's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Now, I do think there is something about not carelessly thinking everything is bliss.
Like, was it Yes Man with Jim Carrey?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I am definitely not that.
Yeah.
I am definitely. Yeah. I am definitely not that. But anyway, good on you for having that to rely on. Faith can be a very strong thing.
It can, but you've seen the dark side of it, as have I. Like,
sure.
My grandpa was, I think I was 12 when he passed away.
Yeah.
I remember, World War II vet, big, strong man, but, my mom was one of 11 kids.
Yeah, okay.
And I hear some of the stories, and he was very much involved in the Catholic Church, as was my mom's whole family. She went to an all-girls Catholic school up until I think her sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
So very deep in the Catholic Church, but it's like, I hear some of the stories about him and how, like, my mom was as a child and how he was towards his children. And don't get me wrong, he saw the worst things you could see in World War II.
Sure.
And so it's another thing, like, I don't hold it against him, but, like, I hear some of the things I'm like, that's so against, like, the Catholic Church. No, maybe not the Catholic Church, because, again, I'm not super well-versed on Catholicism.
Right.
I felt like when I was younger, we'd go to Catholic Church, and I just felt like it was very heavy, like, kind of almost like a lot of guilt laid on you.
Of course. That's my perception, too.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, and I'm not knocking Catholicism by any means, because I'm not that guy to start pointing fingers at anybody.
Yeah.
Because it's any situation you're given, it's all on how you handle it, and people can handle Catholicism however they want.
Sure.
But I just hearing stories about my grandpa, and then kind of like seeing other stories that would like come out around the Catholic faith. I'm like, man, like you said, there's some people that just because they show up for 2 hours on a Sunday, they think that that's their saving grace, and then they live 6 days a week like a real piece of work.
Well, that's very well said. And unfortunately, the large majority of the time, it's those people that are the most judgmental. And that's what I have a problem with. Yeah. I don't want to feel guilty for being human, because you said at the beginning of the podcast, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all fail. We all do, whatever it is that we stray the course sometimes. It's humanity. It's inevitable. I don't want to feel guilty for doing that.
Yeah.
And especially when I know within myself that I'm at least trying my best.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but yeah, I'm going to say that one more time. It's usually those guys that show up for 2 hours, that live a completely different life outside of those walls, the church walls, that just pass on judgment or cast judgment.
Yeah.
I'm the heaviest. And that's something I won't tolerate. I won't, and I can't.
Nor should you. Nor should anybody.
Sure.
And that's one thing that I've found. So going back to, I had that kind of taste in my mouth about religion growing up. Then we moved to New Mexico when I was like 8 years old. Don't really go to church, like every now and then go to church then. But we probably around like when I'm like 12, 13, 14, we find a really good church that we liked. It was a Methodist church.
When you say we, is this the whole family?
The whole family.
Mom, dad, okay, good. Yeah, good. Okay, yeah.
We go there, but the thing about Methodist churches, and I'm not sure if it's still like this or if I'm even understanding it correctly, but they would, every 4 years, they would bring in a new pastor and just kind of move pastors around. So we loved our pastor, Pastor Dave, but he had to go, and they brought in a new guy, and it felt like he was so much about like money.
Oh,
Yeah, which is, hey, if you're about money, like you probably shouldn't get into religion.
no, you should not.
But it's just one of those things where my family not having any money,
Sure.
it gave us a bad taste in our mouth.
Sure.
To kind of go to that experience, I'm gonna tell you a story that I've shared with maybe 3 people ever.
Let's hear it, man.
Yeah, might as well share with everybody because again, you never know who your story's gonna help.
You're exactly
and that's the whole reason why I'm an open book.
Yeah.
So I get baptized at about 13 years old in a horse trough.
Okay.
In Estancia, New Mexico, there's like...
Tell me your country without telling me your country.
yeah. Baptized in a horse trough.
I love it, man.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I loved it. It was my first ice bath. Let's go. First of many.
Let's go.
And so that the people, I'll leave names out of it, the people that we decided to be my godparents. They were neighbors of ours, real close friends with the family. The daughter was my age. We were actually homecoming king and queen. The daughter.
Look at you. Man, let's go.
I rock the votes. And that kind of to go to a little side note on that, I think it's just because I got along with everybody.
Sure.
I was the only guy senior year on homecoming court that didn't play football.
Yeah.
So I was just along for the ride. I was like, oh, it's going to be one of the football players. I just played baseball at that time.
Sure.
Which, baseball in my school, we were one of the better male programs, but we got zero support because it's a small town. Like they love their football. They really like wrestling. Baseball didn't get a ton of support, so I was just kind of along for the ride and then ended up winning. I think it was just, again, because I got along with everybody. I didn't have any enemies. Like, I was just friendly to everybody.
Yeah.
So anyway, rewind that a little bit. So I get baptized around 13 years old, I think. The guy that was my godfather, when I'm 16, I go into Albuquerque, which is about 45 minutes away from where we live.
Yeah.
I go into town with him, and I'm helping him do, like, some construction stuff.
Okay.
And he's just pounding beers, just throwing them back.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, like to be honest with you, it kind of brought back a little bit of memories of my dad when I was younger.
Sure.
Like young. My dad just being too involved with substances.
Sure.
And so it's one of those things like I noticed it right away that I'm like, okay, he's had a couple.
Yeah.
And then we're driving back, and through whatever, I forget how the conversation came up, but he tries to get me to lose my virginity to a prostitute at 16 years old.
You're kidding me, man.
Yeah. And so this is the guy that's supposed to be my godfather.
Well.
Yeah. So I'm like, so again, that in itself kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, what is going on right now?
Man.
And my dad saw, cause my dad came by, like, just to see how I was doing. He checked on us. He noticed that the guy was, drinking. And so my dad calls me, like, while I'm in the car with this, with my godfather. And he's like, everything okay? Like, I noticed what's going on. Because my dad, no doubt that my dad was amazing. Like, he loved us. He had his struggles.
Good man. Yeah.
Good man. Yeah, great man. But so he called me. He's like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? I was like, yeah, it's nothing I can't handle. Like, I got this. And then, like I said, he, like, a little later on, he tries to get me to lose my virginity to a prostitute at 16 years old.
I'm sorry, man. Yeah.
Don't be. I appreciate that. Believe me, I appreciate it because, like, I've always been a guy that's, like, wanted help and wanted people to be like, hey, I'm sorry that you're going through that. But, like, it not having that in the past is again, made me into who I am today.
Sure.
But in that instance, like, it not necessarily a bad, I didn't go to, after that, and I didn't go to church regularly until we moved out here.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. So from 16 to 32, 33 years old, pretty sparse, like on holidays, maybe like Easter and Christmas, I'm going to church. And so again, I never doubted my belief in God.
Yeah.
I never questioned like if he was there, if his existence.
Sure.
I had such a bad taste about church itself.
Yeah.
And then what really turned me around is, again, my pastor today, phenomenal guy. And he brought it up to me. He's like, hey, don't underestimate what your presence means to other people. And he's like, being physically in the church, like the energy you bring and the light that you bring can't be overestimated. Like because I would tell, like, because he's in New Braunfels. Okay. And so I try to make it to church every Sunday, but I can't every Sunday.
Sure.
But I'll listen to the podcast because they'll just stream them live after that, or I'll try to watch on Facebook Live. And I'll let him know. He's like, that's great. He's like, I know that you are, but he's like, don't underestimate what your presence means.
Yeah.
Like, so it's one of those things like community.
Yeah.
And that's what makes On It so different.
Absolutely.
Community. As you know, like having a brother with a hard R. We talked about.
I like
that. There's so many people like we meet, they're like, oh yeah, what's up, brother? Like, how you doing? How you doing? And you, even if you text it out, you ending it with an A or you. But like you meet brothers with like you talk about what's going on. How'd you want to get started, by the way?
I'll tell you this,
Yeah, let's get
man,
into that.
and I love this story because so I had heard about On It, and I was intimidated as hell, and I'll tell you, man, no, I'm telling you. So this was, man, this might have been 8, 9, 10 years ago. My memory is really bad, but and I'm not going to detract because I love talking about On It and I love talking about Juan, but frankly, I'd been in a slump physically, had been drinking a lot and stuff like that, right? And so anyway,
Do you drink now?
very rarely.
Okay.
I mean, very rarely. And so, and that is a choice. That's a very concerted effort to stay away from things that are a depressant or distract me from my goals, right? And so, yeah, it's just a distraction.
No.
But anyway, so I remember hearing about On It, and I'm a guy, man, especially if I respect something or somebody. My approach is a little different, meaning I emailed, it was John Wolf and Ty, and I emailed,
nice.
yeah, I emailed the general thing, and it was way too long of an email, and way too long, but essentially admitted, I'm sure they could have cared less, but admitted, hey, I'm kind of falling down, but physical fitness has always been important. What you guys seemingly represent is everything that I stand for. I want some of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be the best student, but I'll be one of the hardest working students. Let's go. So anyway,
Those people get further.
well, I appreciate that,
Yeah.
man. And I meant it. I was coming from a place of immense humility. And so John had put me with Eric. Eric had just started training. And so I trained with Eric for about a year and a half, maybe 2, and loved it.
Yeah.
The way those guys train, all of you guys, I kid you not, I tell anybody that'll listen that the programming at On It, in my not so humble opinion, is world class. It's the best in the world, hands down.
And you travel a lot, so that has some validity behind it.
You took the words from my mouth. I do, and I've been very fortunate. I want to say this. I've been very fortunate to be able to train with some of the best in the world just by default. I've just, for whatever reason, wound up in situations to be placed in amongst greatness. Thank God, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And so, anyway, but you guys' program is hands down the best I've seen. So, Eric, I fell in love with. I had always known of Juan. Eric, for whatever reason, there was something that interrupted the schedule, and Juan finally was taking on new clients, And as soon, the very first session, I just knew, and I don't want to take away from Eric. I don't want to take from anybody. Yeah. It's just sometimes, man, it's just the yin and the yang, man. It just fits. I'll tell you what I love about Juan. He's an amazing man. He's an amazing human being.
Yeah.
And he also loves his craft so much that our sessions, from the minute I start to the minute we end, we're friends, but we get to work. He knows that I want to get punished because that makes me feel alive. Absolutely. Yeah. He knows he wants to make me better, and by making me better, he breaks me down to my core.
Yeah.
In a respectful manner.
Right.
But I respect that man so much, and all of you, frankly, but Juan in particular, because he's become one of my best friends, that when I show up, it makes me want to put out more for him.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, and another thing, the On It community in general, a long time ago, I did this event. I'm not going to rehash it but I had a lot of On It support. Juan trained me for this event. And I remember the people at the front desk at the time would ask me every time I came through the front doors, how's training going? Are you feeling ready? How are you feeling? All of this in a very genuine way.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying this through that event because it's a very hard event. I channeled every single one of those questions, voices, concern, and faces through my mind. I didn't want to let them down. And you're damn right. Yeah. And so you guys, I know I'm being long-winded. You guys just posted something about home, right? Something, I think it was Larry that posted, this is home.
Yeah.
That is the best sense. That is the best word for me.
Oh, yeah.
Because you, Juan, the community, the environment, the atmosphere, that is home.
The culture, yeah.
And so, and anyway, So I feel fortunate to train with Juan. I feel fortunate to train with On It. And that's why I give that man, I don't care what day it is. I don't care how I'm feeling. I give him 100%.
Yeah. I see it.
And well, thank you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. But he deserves that. And I deserve that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I had the conversation with Juan when I had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
You build these relationships with your clients or vice versa on the trainer.
Sure.
And it makes you want to bring the best version of yourself for them.
Yes, sir.
Whether on the coach side, it's like, all right, I got to make sure that I'm not just like falling back on what's got me here.
Yeah.
And continue to develop as a coach so that I can, again, bring the best of my ability and the best of my knowledge to help better the life of someone I genuinely care about.
You just said something, better the life. Okay. So a lot of time training is about aesthetics, or it's about an event you're training for.
Mm-hmm.
It's about performance, all of that. I also parlay that, so to speak, or training transcends into overall life for me, bettering my life. Juan, and I don't care how cheesy this sounds, I think of that man every day because I want to be a better man because of Juan. I'm dead serious. There are so many times, I mean this, there are so many times that I've sat there and said, do I really want to do this? Well, what would Juan do? You know, what would Juan do?
Yeah, WWJD.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Different J.
And I know, no kidding. Yeah. I think the main one is Jesus, of course. But anyway, and I'm telling you, and again, I'm not embarrassed about being sentimental when it comes to people I care about. But one last thing I'll say, he's just helped me improve my life. Yeah. So what a better coach and better yet a friend to have.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. But also, I think when you're talking about, like, I'm not embarrassed to share, like, how I feel about this person.
Yeah.
It's so, like, and looking at you, if I was just on the outside looking and I knew nothing about you, I'd be like, that's a tough motherfucker. Like, you just look like an old cowboy.
Well,
you just look like
I look old. I'll say that. I'll say it all day.
But you look like a hard ass, to be honest with you. Like, I would have thought you grew up on a ranch just busting broncs or something.
No, sir.
And right, maybe I've worked on a ranch more than you have. I've failed my fair share of hay.
I believe it.
But I think we grew up in such a tough, like, man culture.
Yeah.
That it's like, no, guys need to hear how much they mean.
Yeah.
Especially to another male. Like, that's such a respect thing. To share that sentiment with someone, be like, hey, you're making me a better person. I want to do this because I don't want to let you down. And it's so hard for guys to admit sometimes, but it's invaluable. Like, we need to be able to communicate that to each other.
You know, I'm glad you acknowledge that. I'll be honest. For most of my adult life, I was almost stoic. I've been accused by every ex-girlfriend I've ever had of being downright unemotional, you know, and now I'm a very nurturing person, but for whatever reason I tamped down emotion. I made a very concerted effort not too long ago. If someone means something to me, I want to voice that.
Yeah.
Because frankly, I mean, thank you, I think, for the compliment about having a tough exterior. I'm more fragile than anybody that I know, and I don't care admitting that. I just am. And so maybe it's just a facade. Anyway, I know how good it feels when someone tells me, hey man, you inspire me, you're a good man, I'm uplifted when I speak to you. So I'm damn sure going to return that, because hopefully I want to make someone feel good that deserves to feel that. And so, Juan, I'll tell you, and I'm sorry if I'm embarrassing you, Juan, but there are times I'll text him, I love you, buddy. I'm thinking of you. I do that with many people.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say that. And so call me soft or whatever. I don't care. I don't care at all, because I think we need to convey genuine appreciation for others.
Agreed. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. It's funny because I feel like we're agreeing on so many things, which is awesome. But I had the same kind of moment. I have a client, and it's funny to even call him a client, because kind of like you and Juan. Like, this guy has become brother with a hard R.
Yes.
And his name's David Freese. He played for the St. Louis Cardinals and a couple other major league teams.
Yeah.
It was funny because I was a huge Cubs fan. Cubs Cardinals, huge rivalry. So I couldn't stand him as a player, but as a we've had that joke many, many times.
Sure.
But he has, because I think he understands how much I appreciate what he did for the game.
Yeah, man.
And so I think he has done such a good job of kind of like, not necessarily like taking me under his wing, but like showing me that like he's not above me.
Yeah.
Because he made it as a Major League Baseball player, and I fizzled out in college.
Yes.
He's never once made me feel like, well, hold on, here's the difference.
Yes.
He never once made me feel that way. And
what a powerful thing,
dude. Because that's anybody that's made it to the major leagues. If you've followed baseball, you know how difficult that is, and to have the success that he did.
Yes.
It's like, man, this is a guy that really did it.
Yep.
And so I've told a lot of my buddies back home in Albuquerque that I grew up playing baseball with, because they see me post pictures with him and what they're like, oh man, that's so cool. I'm like, dude, he's just like one of us. Just a little bit better at baseball.
Yeah.
But he's just another dude, and he very much has become like a big brother to me. And we had this moment. We went to St. Louis last fall. And we go to a club that we're both into golf, and we go to a club that he's a member at, and we're playing out there, and we're just having the time of our lives. And he just reached over and like passed me on the shoulder. He's like, I love you, buddy.
That's awesome.
Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a moment I was like, dude, I love you too. Like, this is such a meaningful experience for me. And the fact that I get to do it with him, and the friendship that him and I have built, and the friendships that we've cultivated around that.
Yeah.
I've been able to introduce him to some MMA fighters that because he's a big MMA fan, and we've just built like such a cooler group that we all actually went to about 7 of us went to New York last December to watch some fights.
Very
cool. We all went out there together and took a trip, and I was like, man, what a brotherhood. And you talk about the friendships and the relationships that you've made it on, and it's like, there's so much to be said for that. And when you find that person that you really don't want to let down, not only is that motivation for you to keep going hard, but on the other end of that, like Juan or myself, like if I know that someone's like, hey, I don't want to let you down, it's like, man, that motivates me to be better.
Sure.
Like if I'm having a hard day, be like, wait a minute, this person that I think the world of thinks the world of me. Like, I can't have a hard day. I mean, everyone's allowed to have a hard day. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, and everyone's allowed to take a rest day and to struggle. That's fine. But you got to pull yourself up by your boots after that. Like, you can't just stay down there.
Well, you're exactly right. And as coaches, you guys set that example, and we're so appreciative of that. And it's funny you mentioned friendships. And just like-minded people, so to speak. I'm paraphrasing, of course. I don't want to put words in your mouth. If I don't see something in somebody that I want to emulate, or if the respect level isn't there, I'm trying to choose my words wisely, because I damn sure don't want to sound elitist. It's not that way at all. I'm very cautious about friendships that I make these days, because I just want to be around people like you just said. And I don't care about achieving levels of success in your life. Just be a good person. If I want to emulate qualities, that's the only friend that I'm going to have. And so, meaning people that I look up to, and frankly, again, make me want to be a better person.
Yeah.
And so, again, another concerted effort. As you get old, you get wise. And I'm not saying I have all of this wisdom, but I'm damn sure much sharper than I was even 10 years ago. Yeah. Thank God, because I was just a complete idiot. But anyway, the whole reason I'm bringing this up is I gravitate towards people like Juan and things, and I'm seeing my circle of friends get smaller, but it's becoming so much richer. That's the perfect. I love that. I love that, because you can tell I stutter. I try to find the perfect words. Richer is the perfect, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
So if I can pick up the phone or see people like Juan every single day and walk away and say, hey man, I want to kind of be a better man because of him, I've done it. Even if that's only 5, 6, 7 people in my life, I'm thinking to them. So
I'm gonna rip off kind of a cheesy Instagram video.
Let's go.
But it very much goes with what we're talking about. Because I agree. Like, I have a lot of people that like I'm very happy to see and of course to talk with.
Yeah.
But my close knit, like my people that I fall back on when I'm struggling, it's very much quality over quantity.
Sure.
And so I saw this video the other day, and this gentleman is talking about how his grandma told him how he should pick friends. And he's like, make a fist with your thumb tucked.
Yeah.
Okay. It takes 3 or 4 fingers to cover your thumb.
Yeah.
Now make a fist with your thumb out. Okay. You cover 3 or 4 fingers with your thumb.
Yeah.
That's how you should choose your friends. Have 3 or 4 people that'll always have your back.
Yeah.
3 or 4 people that you'll always have their back.
I like this.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, again, not to get kind of like cheesy with the Instagram video, because I know like deep music playing. And
sure. Of course.
Yeah. But I was like, man, it makes so much sense. And as you said, as we get older, it makes so much more sense to like really refine it and have that rich,
Right.
and I don't mean that in a sense of financial, because
Of course.
I am nowhere near rich. Most of my friends are nowhere near rich.
Sure. It doesn't matter.
But they make me rich in spirit.
Of
And I
course.
hope that I return the favor, because that's, again, my whole purpose in life is to help people. If
Yeah,
I had a
can tell.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I very much wear my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's funny because as much as, even we were talking about Carl, as much as people see me carrying myself as a strong individual, it's like I'm on thin ice.
Yeah.
It could take one thing to just like really just like set me back a little bit.
Man, you know why I'm laughing? We're a lot alike. And I tell anybody that'll
I wish I
listen.
looked like that.
Come on, man, you're doing just fine. I tell anybody that'll listen to this, and I'm almost proud to say this. I'm one, and please let this sink in. I'm one bad decision away from a downward spiral
Oh yeah.
every day of my life. And you know, it's a slippery slope for me.
Yeah.
I come from a family of addiction. I come from a family of mental illness, mental health issues,
Yeah.
and so, and I talk very openly about it. And so that's another reason I am unapologetic about keeping my close circle of friends very tight.
Yeah.
I'm unapologetic about, and this is going to sound like a broken record, but checking certain boxes every day that benefit me.
Yeah.
Because if I don't stay the course, then again, one bad decision. So if I let outside influence like friends that do not have my best interests in mind, and I'm not saying it's all about me, but a true friend always wants to see you be your best self.
1000%.
You know, and those that don't, that's not a true friend.
Yeah.
So I don't need coercion. I don't need peer pressure. I don't need any of that.
Right.
I eliminate it, period.
Yeah.
And I'm unapologetic about that. And so, yeah, again, I'll just say it. If I make one bad decision, sure, let's go to Vegas for the weekend. And that's happened before.
Yeah.
You know, I wake up maybe 2-3 weeks later and realize, man, I am not the man I want to be.
Yep.
And it's time to get back on track. I don't let distractions into my life at all anymore. No,
Yeah, I mean, I see you on Instagram every morning, plunging, sauna, running. I'm like,
Well,
damn.
you know,
You
well,
just broke 7-minute mile.
I did.
That's
And
impressive.
let me talk about that, can I?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
only because, man, and I'm going to say this with so much humor, but you know, Instagram can be tough, and let me tell you.
Very judgmental.
Well, people are saying we didn't even do the 6:45 minute. There's it's disbelief.
Wow.
And look, man, I'll tell you, I'm going to look into the camera. I don't care enough about myself to lie about a performance, right? I just don't.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just don't. And that was a very, very tough effort for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, the 6:45 mile, it was great. Matt is an amazing.
Yeah, I love the way you guys set the pace and the way he kind of like led you through that while I was
Yeah.
watching the video. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this guy's a good coach.
Well, I couldn't do it without him. He's an amazing human being and an amazing coach. But anyway, yeah, I set intention every day to do things that I know are going to benefit me. And so, and I tell anybody, I hope anybody does that. It doesn't have to be training your ass off for 2 hours a day.
Right.
It doesn't have to be cold sauna. It doesn't have to be anything. Whatever makes you feel good about yourself, and if it's being productive, do it. You know, but I don't waver.
Yeah.
7 days a week, I don't waver.
Non-negotiables.
It is non-negotiable, and frankly, it's caused disruption in a lot of personal intimate relationships.
Yeah.
It's caused relationships amongst family.
Mm-hmm.
But I am unwavering in my resolve or my approach for every day. I just won't do it because I need the help.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm the one that controls that help.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so to kind of go to speak on that,
Sure.
it reminds me of, and we hear it all the time, especially if you travel a lot.
Yeah.
But when they're talking to you about your oxygen mask,
Yeah.
help yourself before you help your neighbor.
Yeah.
Make sure your mask is secure
That's a good
before you
point.
try to help the person
That's
next
a
to
good
you.
point. Yeah.
And those non-negotiables are your mask. That's your oxygen mask. You're helping yourself daily to make sure that you're giving your best version of yourself to your brother, to your family, whoever needs it.
Yep.
You're making sure your mask is secure before you try to adjust somebody else's.
Man, you know, I just said that I've been accused about being unemotional, right? And so, and I love that analogy because I'll tell you, when I stopped apologizing, when I became so rigid in doing things that served me, I realized immediately, that I was more present for others because I realized that my other people might need some of those box checks from being uplifted
Yeah.
or affirmation, whatever it is. But immediately, and so it's a weird thing because you would think you spend so much time on yourself, you're being selfish.
Right.
But in return, I gain so much time to give to others.
Yeah.
And so that's just solidifying my approach in my everyday daily life. Excuse me, stuttering. But about saying, I'm doing this because believe me, it will help serve you. You know, and so
1000%.
Absolutely, man.
And whether that's like, say for me that it's me watching you is motivation.
Sure.
But like me staying physically fit and dedicating time to the gym.
Sure.
Like some people might see as like being selfish because I'm dedicating so much time to myself.
Yeah.
But guess what? Now I can help my sister move a couch upstairs.
That's it. Well, of course.
Yeah, it's like one of those things. Like I have to make sure that I'm physically fit and I'm able to do things to help the people that can't.
Well, and that's such a good point. Let's face it. You know, I mean, I always say it doesn't have to be getting into the gym, but you know, being physically fit, of course, it allows a vote of confidence for who you are.
Yeah.
You know, inside and out, it just does. But you're right in a very literal sense.
Yeah.
You can be present, and so I don't want to help anybody move, but I'll do it if I'm asked. Anyway,
But speaking of your like giving nature, I'll never forget. It was when you moved to Memphis or Nashville, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Nashville.
Yeah.
I remember talking to you, and with the girl that I spoke with that lives in Fort Worth. I was like, hey, think about taking a trip out to Nashville.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, I would love to have you. He's like, and you even told me like, even if I'm not home, I'll give you the code to my door.
Sure.
And I was like, my God, like what a heart on this man. Because dude, to me that again, because I always felt like I don't deserve stuff like that,
man.
And so like even that gesture was like to me it meant the world. And I was like, Brad's a dude.
I appreciate that, and I'll tell you, you know, you were obviously very close to your father, and it sounds like your mother as well.
Oh yeah.
And you learn lessons from those that help you grow and all of that. My grandmother was the most hospitable human being on the planet.
Yeah.
Quintessential Southern woman, loved everybody, and so I learned at a very early age, without even being taught. It was inherently. I mean,
you see how they move. You see how they carry themselves.
So Nick, I kid you not. I've had people visit us on Thanksgiving. Like, I was in the service industry, and a lot of us, our families are elsewhere, or, anyway, a lot of those guys don't have homes to go to.
Sure.
So anyway, there were many times that I would just invite somebody along with Thanksgiving. She wouldn't even know, and it's just an extra plate at the table.
Yeah.
And so, in my opinion, it's just a way to live your life of hospitality. Yeah. And frankly, that's why I got into the hospitality business.
Yeah.
I've said this many times. I love serving others.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to that. I've always grown up. Our home is yours.
Yeah.
And so until you give me a reason not to invite me into your home.
Yeah.
That's why I loved what you said about your pastor.
Yeah.
I love sitting down with people in my home and others' home, and just learn about other people.
Yeah.
But that was a genuine gesture.
Oh, so and I believed it.
Well,
I for no part of me thought that was like a lip service.
Oh no,
because some people, and I'm sure you've met a lot of people. Hit me up when you come to town.
Oh, of course.
It's like you don't want me to hit you.
Well,
but when you said that, I was like, oh, like you wouldn't even as hard to say, like, even if I'm not there, I will show you the code to my door.
Well, I've done it many times. I mean, I can't tell you how many people stayed at my. In fact, I think the building I lived in thought I was renting an Airbnb or something. Which I don't. I'm kidding about that. But no, it's just an extension of my grandmother's hospitality, and I like living.
And what a beautiful gift that is from her.
She was amazing, man.
Yeah.
And just
guarantee that makes her happy to see that.
And I wish she was still around to see that, but she would always acknowledge. I'm proud of you for living right. And living right in these big grandiose gestures, it's just living right.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm glad to have had that example. And I carry it and will carry it till the day I die.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't doubt that.
Thank you.
Because you've been you even without knowing me, you were so nice, so kind.
Thank you, man.
And as you know, a lot of high profile people come through on it, and not everyone's like that. Most people are great.
Sure.
I truly believe that, like, I will trust everyone until they give me a reason.
You and I both. And
sometimes it burns you, but more often than not, like, I've built phenomenal relationships, or it's got me into situations that have helped me grow as a man or as a coach. I mean, like I said, I've said this many times. I know I'm, hitting the nail on the head too many times, but I've been so fortunate to just be put in front of amazing people and being present, being accessible, and just being genuine.
Yeah, of course.
Just truly is the right way to go about things, because that'll get you, even if it's not getting where you want to go, you're making a good impression on people. Like you're building trust within those people.
Right.
And like I said, and you've talked about like imposter syndrome. Like I spent, growing up the way I did, I spent so much time pretending to be popular, pretending to be someone that had money. Like I remember, I kid you not, I told the story to my girlfriend the other day. When I went clothes shopping for my senior year of high school, and I'm not proud of this, but I walked into the mall with shopping bags full of empty shoe boxes. And then I went to like nicer stores like Hollister or PacSun, and I would fill up those shoe boxes with clothes and walk out with them.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, and again, not something I'm proud of.
Yeah, sure, no.
But it was like, that's how desperate I was to like be a guy that looked representable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to go shopping at Goodwill because that's kind of where we were.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, everyone else is wearing Hollister. I'm going to have to go steal some Hollister to wear it.
Yeah, my heart hurts for you, man. But I get it. But here you are learning from that. And I think, actually, I know you've realized that none of that stuff really matters at this point.
Not at all.
And so, but I'm sorry you had to go through that, because as an impressionable kid, it's just tough. And I know you're not saying this for sympathy.
No, I believe you, man. I appreciate like a genuine sentiment when people are saying stuff like sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah.
But I don't tell my story for people to feel bad for me.
Yeah.
It's, if I can help someone, like I've said, if I can help someone with my story, then mission accomplished.
Yeah.
But man, it was just going through those times, like as a teenage kid.
Yeah.
It was torment,
of course,
on my mind. Again, waking up in bad conditions and putting on clothes that I stole and worrying if I'm gonna run out of gas on my way to school because I can't afford gas.
Yeah.
It was like I starting my day off with so much anxiety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I have to go through the day pretending not to smell like cigarettes because my parents would smoke in the house at that time.
Me too.
And it's like, man, if there's a kid going through that right now that's listening, hold on, buddy, it gets better.
I hear that, man, and that's good on you, man, for trying to spread that message, because there will be kids listening to this that, hey, it's okay, Yeah,
it gets better, man. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Just stay genuine to who you are. Don't man. Again, I spent so much time pretending to be someone else, and it got me nowhere.
Well, I'll tell you this, man, on that note, and this won't help the kids, because what I'm about to say is, I tell this story a lot, but it was around 45. It took me a long time, but around 45, that for whatever reason, it wasn't the number of the age. It was just for whatever reason, that's when it occurred. But I gained this level of confidence that I stopped caring about what others thought of me. Yeah. And up until that point, I cared way too much. And because of imposter syndrome, because I've always wanted to be something I wasn't.
Yeah.
And we did relatively well in business, and none of that really mattered. We had things, none of that really mattered. We just established that. And so I don't know, I was just always fighting that. It was the most liberating thing, man, and it was almost like that saying that, you feel lighter. Yeah. I quite literally felt 100 pounds lighter. And I posted something the other day when I stopped looking for affirmation in relationships, and acceptance. I could breathe. And that's the truest statement ever, man. Yeah. I felt like I could physically breathe. And it is such a good feeling.
Yeah.
To think, because for me it's so fleeting, but these days I have a little bit of resolve. But to think, for better or worse, I'm okay with who I am, man. Yeah. I'm a pretty good dude. And so I wish that for anybody, no matter how old you are. But that's tough as a teenager.
Tough as an adult.
Yes, it is.
Like I said, I was 28 when I started to figure it out. No one has it figured out, first of all.
Sure.
Put that out there.
Yeah.
But I was around 28 when I started to feel like, okay, I need to quit pretending to be someone else and find out who I really am.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know at that time. My identity was so wrapped up in baseball, because that was the only thing as a kid that all the way through high school and college that I was like, all right, this is what makes me stand apart is baseball.
Yeah.
And then I got married and I held on to that and again allowed that to be my identity. And I got so not only out of shape. Like I said, I was 230 soft pounds at that time.
Yeah.
But I was sick spiritually.
Yeah.
I was sick in my identity. Like I was not a healthy individual by any means in any aspect at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so at 28, I was like, okay, I'm not a baseball player anymore. I'm not married anymore. What am I? And that's when I was like, I'm a good man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, let's build on that. Let's build on that, because my mom, my dad and my mom have always like never hesitated to instill confidence in me.
I like that.
Even through all of our hard times and all of our struggles, like they never made me feel like I couldn't be whatever I wanted to be. And
amazing.
Yeah, and again, so at 28, I was like, all right, let's build on that. What do I want to do? I started getting into combat sports. I started training Muay Thai.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew that I was athletic. What's the best way to help people for me is through fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that time is when I started getting into shape. By the time I got divorced, it was probably like around 205.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know who Lane Norton is?
No.
Online. He's a doctor, Dr. Lane Norton. Really good at calling out BS online, and he'll like tag like his profile. Always great.
Yeah.
That's who really started. I started following. He had a program as PH3, so it's power, hypertrophy, big three, which is deadlift, bench, squat.
Okay.
It was a 90-day program. I kid you not, it was like the day after I got divorced, or the day after my ex-wife and I separated.
Yeah.
One of my buddies hit me up this program. My little sister turned me on to Lane Norton for his nutritional advice.
Yeah.
And then my buddy hit me up. He's like, hey, have you heard of Lane Norton? I was like, oh, that's funny. I just heard about Lane Norton. And he's like, I got this PH3. It's a 90-day program. And I was like, all right, well, I just started working at a gym as a personal trainer.
Yeah.
I just left my ex-wife. I have nothing else to do. Like, let's get it.
Let's go.
Yeah. So for 90 days, like, and he held me accountable, and I held him accountable. Like, even through Christmas, we met up on Christmas Day and lifted.
I love this.
Yeah, it was great. Vic Alvarez was his name. He's a cop in Santa Fe now in New Mexico. He was one of my groomsmen at my wedding.
Love that.
Yeah, great dude. But that got me started on this path, and I was like, all right, like, I can use my athletic ability, and I can use my ability to connect with people, because that's something I felt like I've been good at. Is I have the gift of gab.
Sure.
But I think that is what makes me stand apart as a trainer, is my ability to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And trust me. So that's why I feel like I have to bring the best version of myself daily.
Yeah.
And I know I can do a better job, like physically. I can look like one, or maybe not look like one, but I can go a little more that route.
Sure.
And again, bring the best version of myself, because that is my mission, is to help people, whether it's through sharing my story, which I think is on a bigger platform, how I help people. But in person, on what I can do immediately, be present for my clients. You can ask any of my clients, especially if I've been training them more than like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
they're genuinely friends of mine.
Oh, I'm on to it.
Birthday parties. I've gone to like kids' birthday parties, graduation, whatever. I've taken trips with some of my clients. Like, this is it's something that I've been so blessed, again, to be put in front of these people where I feel like I can make a positive impact on their lives. And even some of my clients who are very well off financially, and they know how I am financially, they're like, yeah, come along. Like, it's okay. Like, we got you, because you're a good person. Like, if I can enhance the energy and the mood and the atmosphere, like, again, I'm there to help. Like, that's what I'm there for.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
What motivates you to train yourself?
To show up every day for my family. Yeah. Like, if my sister needs help moving her couch.
Okay, so it's okay. Yeah. When I say it's that simple, that's actually a great answer.
It's quite literally that.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I need to be able to help people that need help.
Yeah.
Because right now, unfortunately, my mom is on a good path to get her health back in check. But right now, she kind of needs help getting around.
Yeah.
And so if I can help with that, like, that is why I train.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I do. And then, but also you see the benefit. I see the benefit mentally. Yeah, as you know,
of course,
the mental health aspect of it, of like, it's such a good escape from the real. It's escape from what is perceived as the real world.
Yeah,
in that weight room, that is the real world.
Yeah.
It is you and those weights and nothing else.
Sure.
And that is, again, it's not an escape from the real world. It's you tap into the real world.
Yeah, man.
The real world and the real you. Because once you leave the gym and you're outside those gym walls, who knows? You're pretending to be someone else. You're on business calls. You're not doing shit that you actually want to do.
You're exactly right.
More often than not. Some people are blessed that they get to do what they want to do all day, every day.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I'm happy for those people.
Yeah.
But there are times, as you know, when you step outside the gym, you're kind of like, all right, like tapping back into the matrix or whatever.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So the real world, and that's kind of, I've told this before when I talk about combat sports. stepping into a ring in Muay Thai was terrifying when it's just you versus another man. My first fight was an amateur fight in Arizona. So amateurs in Arizona, we had to wear headgear and cloth shin guards.
Okay.
Second fight was an amateur fight in New Mexico. New Mexico's wild.
Yeah.
I was, all right, no pads. It's full rules, Muay Thai, go.
Yeah.
And it was so terrifying, but at the same time, it was so liberating because, and I've told these people, I was like, that's the only place I don't feel like I have to pretend to be human.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I get to be me. I don't have to worry if people think that, oh, he looks like an angry poor kid. Like, I don't have to worry about, oh, he's dressed well. I don't have to worry about that shit. And like stepping into the ring.
Yeah.
It's just you and your primal instincts and your God-given ability and the work that you've put in.
Yeah.
Because nothing will show more. I tell this to fighters all the time. Half-ass training will get your whole ass kicked. Yeah. Which is a
like
true
that.
statement has never been said.
No kidding.
So half-ass training will get your whole ass kicked. And so stepping.
There's your inspirational quote right there.
Right, yeah, I can put that on a shirt.
Why not?
I'll talk to LSKD. And you know what's funny? I talking about the story about how I used to steal my school clothes.
Yeah.
Now I have this company that I really like, LSKD. They're sending me clothes to wear on the podcast.
I love those.
Yeah, what a
brand.
turnaround.
Yeah.
Oh, man, their stuff is so nice.
What's that guy's name? Chris?
Well, I talked to Ali Holcomb. Have you ever met Ali?
Okay, no.
Stay away from her. She's beautiful.
Okay.
No, it's kidding. But she's great. She's a tremendous human being.
Yeah.
Ali's great, and she's just a genuine human that like you can have genuine conversations with.
Yeah.
Which is something that like, and not to knock anyone in Austin, but
Yeah.
Austin can be as pretentious as any other city, especially with the influx of people moving here. You get to see a little bit of like, oh, this is what people like New York are like,
Right.
or whatever. But she's been so great, and so I communicate with her.
Gotcha.
And she's been nothing but supportive of me and this journey and this dream that I have. And she's like, hey, this is what we can do for you. And I'm like, hey, absolutely. Like, I would love nothing more.
Man, what a great support system. I want to say, and I really don't want to get his name wrong because he's such a nice guy. I think it's Chris Devine.
Oh, yeah, Chris Devine. He just moved here.
Yeah, founder. Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's the founder.
Okay.
But he did just move here.
Gotcha.
From San Diego. He might be the founder. I have no idea.
Okay, yeah.
But him and Ali came to one of my classes.
Yeah.
That's when I met him. Yeah.
Very cool, yeah.
Very nice guy.
Yeah, but whatever they're doing, their branding is amazing. And so, and that's good to have that ally, to see kind of uplift you. And to me, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, they've been great. They've been phenomenal.
Good.
And make really good workout gear.
Yes, they do.
I don't know what they're doing with these new shirts, but they're like, I think it came from like the Land O'Lakes factory because it's like butter.
Good stuff. Very good stuff.
But yeah, so like I said, stepping into an octagon or stepping into the weight room.
Yeah, man.
That is when you get to be unapologetically you.
Agreed.
You don't have. You can airplane mode on your phone.
Yep.
You can turn off the business calls.
Yep.
And it's just you and whatever you're doing for the next hour or two, and you don't have to worry about the real world.
Ben, you know what's funny, aside from that, because of what you said, I couldn't agree more. And besides training with one, right, which is something completely different, I always like to train alone. And I've told people this, and this is a heavy statement, but, a lot of people say, hey, let's get a lift in, let's work out together. And my answer is always no, and I'll tell you why. That's the equivalent, and I'm taking this very seriously, but that's the equivalent of someone saying, hey, you're going to the doctor, I want to sit in with you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to your psychiatrist, I want to sit in with you. I don't want that. And it is my time to release in any way. And so, yeah, and that's what motivates me or inspires me to train, is because we all need that, right? We all need to feel alive in whatever way, shape, or form.
I don't know if there's anybody that goes harder in the gym than you.
Well, I don't know about that, but I got to tell you, man, I'm almost cursed. And I think it was from the oil fields. I've said this a lot because I felt so fulfilled just working hard, right? And I missed that. Yeah. And I didn't get that in the bars. We worked hard, but we worked a lot, Yeah. But that just feeling of just pure physical exhaustion.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the compliment because, I mean, Jesus, you guys have savages working it on it. But humbly speaking, I do, man. Every single time I train, I try to redline. And I know you're not supposed to, but I feel alive, man. Yeah. I feel so alive when I'm almost dead. Yeah. And I mean that. And so it is a curse, but I love it, and we all need that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys setting an example.
I again could not agree more. I think pushing your body to those extremes.
Yes.
You find out who you are, but it's such a different feeling.
Yes.
And I want to say it's a Walt Whitman quote, but it's probably not. But there's a quote that says, "Physical exhaustion can be spiritually enlightening."
Oh, I like that.
Oh, you tap,
like-
yeah, because you
really like
release
that. Yeah,
everything.
yes, you do.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, and you talk about redlining. Every now and then, I kind of take that same approach with my car. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
but because
Careful.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Careful.
But it is, I don't drive anything fancy, but it is designed to be a sports car.
Sure.
So there's a certain area you hit where something kicks in,
Yeah.
and I'm like, don't forget that's there. Kinda
Yeah.
like your body, don't forget that turbo or that VTEC or whatever. Don't forget that's there because you can hit that and go harder.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the thing. What you just said. There's always more. And
What do you think?
I don't know, man. It's I don't know the term, but yeah. Again, it's almost a curse because I do. I just like to train hard. I absolutely love it. And
Yeah,
I like to train alone and just get it in.
yeah. Have you looked into high rocks? Have you done it?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I haven't done it. It's so funny you asked this because my brother and I and one other friend of ours signed up for the one in Vegas in February.
Okay.
And Juan and I are actually talking about in November kind of switching training to get more conditioning and stuff like that, which I'm all for.
Is it February or March?
I'm almost positive it's February, like first of
Looking
February.
up on my training up because
Yep.
that just piqued my interest.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And let's go, man. And I'm all, yeah, it's February. I know this for a fact. And those things I take really seriously. You know, once a year I try to find something, and the High Rocks is a little different. But once a year I try to find something that when you tell people you're going to do it, they think you're crazy.
Oh man,
I mean, like really, really hard stuff, and whatever that may be. Where it's someone quoted this, and I'm going to paraphrase. I don't want to mess this up, but
yeah,
find something that even the training alone makes you a different human being. You know, and I'm paraphrasing, so I don't want to dumb down that quote because it was a powerful one. But I like doing that, and so I'm looking at High Rocks as this. When we focus on this, we're going, man. We're going to get it in, and you know, I want to perform. I'm an older guy, and so I'd still like to put out for older guys, you know. And
but you're doing better than
well, I appreciate that.
most guys of any age.
Well, yeah, but only because following training, you know, and frankly, that's whatever. If we all have a message in life, I swear to God, that's the only message I have. Is all it takes is just doing what you guys tell us to do. The only difference between me and another 52-year-old is I get off the couch every day. And I'm not saying I'm better than people. I'm just saying, like, you can do it. I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I eat right, and I train hard, and I do what my coaches tell me. It's that easy. Yeah. It's that easy. And so thank you for saying that. But the only reason I'm, quote-unquote, doing better than most people my age is because I make a very conscious decision 7 days a week to bust my ass.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really not that hard.
Right.
It's really not that hard.
It's 2 hours a day.
That's
so
all it is.
It's 14 hours a week.
Sure.
Yeah. You're busting your ass. Most people are busting their ass 40 hours a week at their job.
Yes, they
don't want to do.
Yeah.
Or something that's not benefiting them truly.
Yeah.
It's just getting them by. A lot of people do that, myself included. I know that's not myself included because I absolutely love on it.
Sure.
Believe me, it is a passion and not a job.
Yeah.
What I'm doing.
Yeah.
But there are people that are mindlessly going through these motions. It's like dedicate half of that, not even half of that time, a third of that time to you and see what you can do.
Man, I want to say something, but what you just said, most people are doing 40 hours a week. So I get a lot of comments, must be nice, especially now that I'm semi-retired. I'm about to jump back into work and stuff, but right now I'm very fortunate to have a lot of downtime. And a lot of people say, hey, it must be nice to be able to work out all the time. Let me tell you, man, and I want to say this and emphatically, when I was in the oil fields and we were working 14, 15 hours a day, my twin brother and I would wake up at 4 a.m. and we'd find a local gym or we'd run. And then you talk about, and we would work out, and that's some of the hardest physical labor that you can imagine. Yeah. So I still trained for the very large majority of the time of the 10 years I was in the oil fields. So whenever people say must be nice, I almost snap back a little bit and say, no, man. And I think it's
given to me.
I think it might be Nick Bear that says something that if it matters to you, you'll find time for it.
Absolutely.
And so anybody can do it. Yes, you're working 40 hours. Yes, you have a family of kids. Yes, you have to take care of those children.
Yeah.
You have to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And all it is prioritizing that, man. Yeah. And so, must be nice. Hell, yes, it is nice to have that luxury. But I did it when I didn't have the luxury. and I had to show up for a safety meeting at 6 a.m., I still got in a workout.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, and that wasn't nice waking up at 4 a.m. to do that. That was a luxury.
After working 14 hours a day, busting your hump, and so it was just a continuous
that's no joke,
training
like you said.
session. No, it is.
Physical labor is absurd.
No, and so anyway, and I'm not saying look at me, I'm just saying anybody can do
Also,
this.
look at you.
Well, I appreciate that, but it's easy. It's just do it. Just do it. It's like the Nike commercial, man. I mean, no one is special. Just make that decision. Make
it a non-negotiable.
It's a we said this earlier, and unapologetic. I'm going to do this.
Yeah,
and I'm going to schedule around it. No matter what it is. And so if I have a girlfriend, I'm sure I'll love her at the time, but I'm going to do this because trust me, I can love you better afterwards.
Yeah, let me be me, and I'll be a better person for you.
Yes, sir. And I try to tell anybody that for your families, for your work, for anybody.
Yep. Yeah, be the best version of yourself for the people around you.
Yes, sir.
That's such a motivating factor, and it has been for me. You don't get me wrong. As a kid, like I was any kid, especially like being a baseball player, and man, I remember my dad would he pawned his golf clubs one time to buy me a bat, and that was one of the things like that didn't really. I know it didn't even it didn't really truly sink in at that time.
Yeah,
I understood like how much my dad loved golf and how rarely he would get out to golf because he was working his ass off. We didn't always have money for him to golf.
Yeah.
And so for him to do something like that grand of a gesture for me, I didn't need, we had team bats. He could have, because by all means, tell me to use the team bat. It wouldn't have been as nice as the one he bought me, but he bought me a nice bat for myself. And it was one of those things where I'm like, if that big of a gesture, like that, something that meant that much to him, he was willing to give up for me. It's like, that's the kind of man I should be. And I should be bringing the best version of myself every day to honor that gesture because he did that for me to help me to be a better baseball player, whether or not a new bat or whatever, make you a better baseball player. But it helped me. It helped me. It gave me confidence, whatever the case may be. And it's like, that was a sacrifice he made for me to be someone that I wanted to be. And again, that's the kind of man that I strive to be, is someone that motivates others to be the best that they can be and to honor my dad.
Man, what unconditional love, because, and you may have just said this, but that man needed that release too. He was stressed for the golf, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not just the material objects of the clubs. It's this man's reprieve. I mean, he is giving you his sense of, reprieve, right? And which we all need. And look at you, went on to play apparently college baseball, and but more importantly, took that lesson to be selfless and show up and be the best version. Jesus, man, that's powerful.
Yeah. Because like you said, he gave up his outlet.
Yes. Yeah.
To help me. And
right.
That's just, again, what we were going through, but B, the kind of man my dad was.
Yes.
Like
you're lucky to have that, man.
Oh, for sure. He knew nothing about baseball.
Yeah.
He'd play catch with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'd be the loudest dad in the stands.
Yeah.
Always cheering me on.
I like this dude.
Even he was. My dad was great. He was very very charismatic, very suave. Like
Look at you.
Gold ring, gold watch.
Of course.
Yeah, my dad was amazing.
Yeah.
And my whole Colombian side of the family, and my family in general is, but like I resonate so much with my Colombian side of the family because they're just the most hospitable people. They're so welcoming, so sweet, and just the energy and the vibes are always fantastic.
Love it.
And that's something that I try to carry on from my dad. And I think I'm going to Colombia here at the end of January to see my family. My grandma passed away last December at 97 years old.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm sorry, but good for her for living such a rich life.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the fact that she was the queen.
Yeah, of course.
In the family.
Of course.
I remember I went out to Colombia. The only time I've been was for her 90th birthday.
Okay. Yeah.
Huge event. Like we rented out like a ballroom. I mean, it was wild. It was like 2 weeks before we went out there. My little sister and I, we had to like send in our IDs because the venue that they were hosting her 90th birthday at got a bomb threat.
Oh my word!
Yeah, and then while we were out there, they had like their biggest drug bust that they had in like 20 years.
Wow, man!
Yeah, it was like a whole like cocaine compound that they busted up. Yeah, it was wild. Colombia's beautiful. Have you ever been?
No, I want to go.
Yeah, I want to go to Medellin.
Yeah, I want to go. I really do. I want to go to Medellin for a few reasons, but one just to see the culture. I'm looking into some stem cells, believe it or not, stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
yeah. John Wolf went there.
Yeah, of course.
I have a good friend that works for the company.
Yeah.
If and when the time comes for me, because these old bones are going to need some help here soon. So that's
yes, you will.
Yeah.
Take it from me. It's not fun to admit it, man.
Yeah, for sure. But that's where I want to check out BioXcel.
Yeah,
they seem like they're doing things right. Great company from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so getting back to the High Rocks thing. So we were, and on it, this past weekend, we hosted like a mock event.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like we were kind of talking about when you see someone else like pushing themselves to that extreme, it makes you want to do it.
Absolutely.
And right now I'm finishing up a program called Squattober, put on by Sornix, where I'm squatting every day.
I like that.
So running is not conducive.
Sure.
But I've talked to a couple of guys that were helping run the High Rocks event. I was like, all right, I want to do this.
Yeah.
I see how much these guys are suffering. I want to taste it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Isn't that a strange thing?
Yeah.
Like I see this guy just going all out and hurting. I want it.
I want it.
I want.
So I know how good he's gonna feel after.
You're damn right, man.
And
so
I
let's go.
love that.
Let's go.
I had this talk with Mike G. We're talking about visualization.
Yeah.
And for my last fight, that was don't get me wrong, I did all the physical work, but that was my biggest practice, was visualization.
Yeah.
And everything I kept visualizing, I pictured the fight, I pictured everything, the training, everything. The one thing I kept coming back to was how good I was going to feel after.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. And what a powerful vision.
Oh yeah, because it was 10 years after my dad had passed away. It was the day after the 10-year anniversary my dad passed away. It was, I'm sorry, 3 days after the 10-year anniversary, but it was a day after my little sister, I forget what year her birthday was.
Yeah.
But because my dad passed away on a Friday, and my little sister was supposed to have her 13th birthday party that night. Yeah, because her birthday was that Sunday.
Well.
Yeah, so getting choked up.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. Yeah. Don't be. The raw emotion is what makes it good.
You're human.
Yeah. But so that fight for me meant everything.
Yeah.
I was like, 10 years, my dad passing away.
Yep.
This is my gift to my little sister.
Yeah.
And the visualization was there.
How'd you do?
Oh, I broke his ribs.
I love it.
I don't want to say I murdered the guy, but
sure.
Yeah, I finished him in the first round.
Yeah.
And it was just everything I saw in my mind. Other than the ref raised a different hand.
Yeah.
In my mind, he was raising my left hand.
Yeah.
He raised my right hand.
I love it.
Yeah, but
congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was it was such a defining moment for me.
Yeah.
Because of all of the mental work that I put in, I'm like everything is possible.
Yeah.
Everything is possible. Like soon after that was when I decided to come out here for On It.
Man.
And I took that leap without knowing anything, but I knew that there was something that was going to catch me.
Love that.
But I made the jump out here. I didn't know John Wolf yet. I didn't have those connections yet. But I came out here. I didn't even have 2 days before I moved. I didn't have a place to live.
Man.
But I had the U-Haul reserved.
Again, look at you,
out there. Yeah.
I mean, so you visualized everything, moving to Austin, the whole 9 yards, or
so coming out here, I had the U-Haul booked already.
Yeah.
I was waiting to hear back from a house to rent in New Braunfels. So my little sister moved out to New Braunfels maybe like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And so we come out and visit and loved it. It's such a beautiful area.
Sure.
And then COVID, New Mexico was really, really restricted.
Yeah.
Tough place to be during COVID. And I came out and we visited for Thanksgiving. I visited for Thanksgiving, and she took me out to Zilker.
Yep.
And hundreds of people, if not maybe thousands, not probably hundreds of people out there like playing soccer, volleyball, whatever.
Yep.
And I was telling Mike this. I was like, man, I felt like I was visiting America. Like I felt like I was living in Russia, and I just came to visit America because like everyone just seemed happy still.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, this is what life used to be like. You know, 10 months ago.
Yep.
And
interesting.
Yeah, it genuinely felt like visiting a different country. Because in New Mexico at that time, there was still, even this was like November of 2020, they're saying like for Thanksgiving, if you see more than 4 cars at your neighbor's house, call the cops.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, if you're walking your dog, wear a mask. If you're on a public golf course, wear a mask.
Yeah.
Shit. And meanwhile, the governor is still doing her thing, whatever
of course.
she wants to do.
Yeah,
of course. So I came out here, visited, loved it. And I'd been out to On It a couple times before for certifications.
Yeah.
Through the gym that I was working at in Albuquerque, we were co-owned by a big On It athlete. So we had On It supplements. It was Cowboy Cerrone.
Oh, yeah.
So he was co-owner of the strength and conditioning facility that I worked at. And so we had On It kettlebells, med balls, heavy sandbags, everything.
Right.
So luckily, I was very fortunate to be in that position because I'd get to come out to Austin for certifications through On It.
Sure.
And so we visited. I'm saying I visited, and then my older sister at the time, she actually had her 3rd child during COVID, like April of 2020.
Okay.
And really funny, and not funny because it kind of tends to be what you see with some of these other kids. Her older son, her middle son, who's 8 now, 8 or 9. at the time they're like, he might be on the spectrum.
Okay.
So like, we need to get him. And what's really funny about that, and maybe not funny, but now my sister sent a picture yesterday to a group chat, my family group chat, of a note she found in his backpack, and from like weeks ago maybe, from one of her teachers, or actually it's like an official like school letter saying like, hey, your son's testing really well. We think he should be in like advanced classes.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. Let's go. So like, you tend to see that story play out with like kids that are kind of quieter or short or whatever as a young child.
Yeah.
Now like, again, just testing really well. I mean, it's wild because he's going to be a unit. His dad's a big dude, kind of like your build actually. And he's like naturally he throws a football really well. He throws baseball really well. I'm like, oh, this kid's going to but turns out he's also, and we all knew he was really smart, but just different thinking brain. But at the time, my sister's like, he needs more help than I can give him. But all the schools in New Mexico are like closed down or really restricted at that time. And so I came out for Thanksgiving, and I kind of had the realization of like, man, why don't I live out here? And I was like, wait, why don't I live out
here? Yeah.
And so as a family, we decided to make the move.
Any regrets at all?
None.
Yeah, good.
None.
Good.
Oh man,
I kind of knew the answer to that.
Right. Yeah, but good to ask that because it was one of the, and it's kind of a tale that has followed me throughout my life, that when I blindly take leaps, they pay off tenfold.
Yeah.
And moving out here with nothing planned, it has been such a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
Like, I've met so many amazing people. I have been put in front of so many amazing people, and I've had such great experiences. And just to be on it, like a spot that if you would have asked me 5 years ago, and I'm a lead coach there.
Yeah.
If you had told me, hey, in 5 years, or if you would have told me, hey, next year, whatever, because I was less than a year in at On It when I got promoted to lead coach, because Larry was so great to me, John Wolf, everyone was really excited with what I was doing there. And reciprocating that, which was such a gift. Larry's been hands down the best boss I've ever had.
Yeah.
No knock on the owner of Performance Ranch. His name's Lawrence Ferreira, so both Larry, which is kind of funny. Lawrence was great, and someone I very much consider a mentor. But as a true boss and someone that's in the building, like Larry has been unmatched as far as like going to bat for his people.
Sure.
And if I have questions, he has an answer by the end of the day.
Yeah.
And he's been phenomenal. And like I said, so if you would have told me before I started On It, when I was still working with fighters in Albuquerque, be like, hey, soon this is going to be you at On It, I'd have been like, yeah, okay. I'm going on. I'm taking classes from Sean Clemens, and I'm taking classes.
Love that dude.
Eric. Yeah. I'm taking I'm paying to take their classes.
Sure.
You're gonna tell me in a little while I'll be where they are and I'll see them as peers. Like, yeah. So it was one of those things, like I said, and even getting into fighting.
Sure.
Taking that blind leap of like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
Because it was terrifying. I remember. So
I can only imagine.
Yeah, when I got when the opportunity to fight for the last fight, the promotion, it's the biggest Muay Thai promotion in North America, and like true legends of the sport have fought in that promotion. It's called Lion Fights.
Okay.
You look at some of the biggest names in Muay Thai, especially Americans, they fought for that promotion. And so one of my true, like, dearly good friends who I'd love to have on the podcast someday because he's so wildly interesting, is Mark Edinburgh.
Right.
He came up to me one day, he's like, hey, you want to get on Lion Fights? And in the back of my mind, I thought he was kind of trying to check me. Like, hey, how serious are you about this?
Yeah.
Do you really want to fight, or you just a tourist?
Yeah.
Like, you just, because I respect people that train and don't fight. That's great, because people train for all their own reasons. And I think he was trying to like push me a little bit, and in all the right ways.
Sure, I was about to say that's like a good friend.
Like a good friend,
good friend.
Yeah. Like, and Mark's the best kind of people.
Yeah, man.
And so when he approached me about that, I was like, yo, he's probably expecting me to bitch out. And I was like, yeah, sign me up. I'm like, let me do it. And so the whole time getting ready,
I just got nervous for some reason. Let's go,
dude. Getting ready for the fight and everything. Like, in the back of my mind, I kept like, I was like, yeah, whatever. It's like, I had to come to the realization, like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning, I was like, my opponent's gonna pull. I had 3 different opponents pull out. Like, I was like, opponent's gonna pull out. Like, the fight's not gonna make, whatever. It's just not gonna happen. But I trained my ass off like it was going to, and I'd get so nervous, and I'd get anxiety like thinking about it, and so finally I meditated a lot and visualized a lot, and gave it to God, and I was like, if this is God's plan, it's going to happen. If I get my ass beat, I get my ass beat, and there's a purpose for that. If I win, I win, and there's a purpose for that, but I'm visualizing the win, and I'm putting my faith in the win. And then, like I said, it all came to fruition. The fight night was wild. The promotion was great. Docs got there, because you have to check in with a doctor before you fight.
Sure.
And the docs, they're like, all right, amateur fighters get there at 3 o'clock. If you're there at 3:05, you're not fighting.
Yep.
So I'm there at like 2:30. I think the card started at 5.
Right.
Doctors got there at like 4:45.
Oh.
Yeah. They were super late. The doctors were not great to the amateur side. So as I'm sitting there getting my hands, because you can't go back to the dressing room until you get seen by a doc.
Yeah.
And so I finally see the doctor. I'm going in there. I'm getting my hands taped. I'm loving it because I'm like, fuck yeah, like this is it. This is happening. And I'm getting my hand taped, and I even have a funny picture of me like looking up at the camera all stupid. But I have one hand getting taped, one hand untaped, and they're like, all right, Gomez, 5 minutes. And I'm like, I'm still wearing a sweater. Like, I had my Muay Thai trunks on, but like I had done nothing to warm up other than like some foam rolling.
Oh, man.
And so the guy that wrapped my hands, legendary boxer coach in the area, I don't know if you know who Johnny Tapia is, but he's one of his coaches.
No.
Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he's phenomenal. Big in the fight scene in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
He's like 5 minutes, and he just throws down the sickest tape job, like just speed taping. And I'm like, that was an art, like in itself.
Yeah.
And then I get the gloves on. They have to tape the gloves. The commission has to sign off on your gloves to make sure you didn't like put like metal in them or something.
Sure.
And so I get signed off on, and my coach, we have multiple fighters on the card, so he has to like tape other people's hands.
Right.
And so he's like, all right, go with Chris, who was a guy that had been around the gym, but like I had never trained with. And he's like, go with Chris and hit mitts real quick. And I'm hitting, and he's kind of holding him more like a boxing coach would hold him versus like Muay Thai coach. And so he wants me to throw a jab and a cross on the same hand versus like jab cross, you usually go opposite hand.
Right.
And so like the rhythm's off on everything because I'm like, we're just not syncing up. And I was like, I'm not even breaking a sweat. And they're like, all right, Gomez, you're on deck. And my coach like stops taping. He's like, all right, fuck it. He throws on Thai pads, which are like long forearm pads. And he's like, give me 10 kicks on each side, and then we gotta go.
Yeah.
And so I just launched 10 kicks on each side. And all right, we make the walk. I go out there, and I was honestly like kind of surprised to see my opponent in the corner. Because then like I'm still thinking, I'm like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I go out there, I see the opponent in my corner, and it's just instant like flow.
Yeah.
I'm hearing things, but only certain things. I'm remembering things, but only certain things.
Oh,
It's like an out of body experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you were like drunk and watched a movie.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
But it was just go mode, and I remember my coach yelling at certain things in the corner, and I remember at the time I was already coaching baseball.
Yep.
And so I remember a parent in the stands that bought tickets to come watch me fight. He was like, "Get him, coach!" Like I still remember hearing that, but I don't remember like everything. And it was just one of those things. Like that moment was a catalyst to how I approached like everything.
Yeah.
After that, like blindly take the steps in the direction you want to go.
Right.
You don't have to know how it's going to happen. You just have to have faith that it's going to happen. It kind of goes back to the story about my pastor watching football games.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
If you know they win, you don't have to know how it happens. You just have to know you win.
Yeah.
And I've taken that approach. I took that approach coming out to Austin. I was like, I don't have to know how it's going to happen. I just have to have faith that it's going to happen. And I've been rewarded tenfold for taking those leaps.
Have you fought since then?
No, but I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had 2 fights canceled during COVID.
Okay, yeah.
And at that time I was 33 already.
Yeah.
And luckily, like mileage-wise, I haven't taken a ton of damage fighting.
Yeah.
So I have like a young training age when it comes to fighting. I just start boxing at 16, and I'm slurring my words at 27 years old, taking so much damage.
Yeah.
So like the mileage is there, but it's like honestly, so thinking about doing High Rocks in February in Vegas.
Let's go.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, that could be the step to getting my conditioning to where I need to be for fighting.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can use High Rocks as a platform to get me where I want to be for fighting. And I would love to do just one more, just because when I came out to On It, and everyone knew my resume about like working with like John Jones, Cowboy Cerrone, John Dotson, all these Nico Montano, former 125 champ in the UFC. I've got to work with some really truly great people in the UFC, and then fighting myself. But coming out to On It, nobody has seen that side of me.
Yeah.
Nobody has seen that side of me. Like, oh, Nick's a bad dude.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna go out there. I mean, we did our deadlifting test for the coaches, where you had to, for the males coaches, you had to deadlift as many reps as you could at 2 times your body weight. The closest to me was Carlisle as far as reps go. He got 11. I got 20. So at 20 reps at 2 times my body. And I feel like that's the only time a month, because our coaches are savages. You know that.
Yes, they are.
And so like,
you are.
Well,
yeah.
And so I feel like that was the one time where I like kind of got to show like, oh, Nick is a badass.
Yeah, man.
And so like, I'm like, I want to fight one more time. Because like you said, you know how it feels to put yourself through a camp and to push yourself to those extremes.
Yes, man.
And the reward that you get from that, win, lose, or draw.
Yes.
The reward you get from that, because I lost my first fight.
Yes.
But the reward, and now it was such a valuable lesson. But the reward at the end of each time is like, it's worth it. It's worth going through the shit just to have the view from the top of the mountain.
Yes,
The climb is worth it.
Congrats again, man. You know, I've always had a profound respect for fighters, always have. And I wish at an early age I would have gotten into it. And I'll tell you why. It's not to be a quote-unquote badass. It's just the discipline and the technique and, you know, internal drive and all of that good stuff, you know. And I just have so much respect for you guys.
It's such a confidence builder.
Well, of course.
Like me, especially me being like a smaller stature, I'm 5'8". After I started training and like, but first and foremost, I would say this: almost every fighter I've ever worked with, they don't want to fight.
Yeah.
Especially outside the gym or outside the ring or octagon or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know the dangers. Even a trained fighter can get sucker punched.
Yeah.
And you never know what happens after that sucker punch. You get rocked, you get jumped, whatever. You fall the wrong way.
Yeah.
You slap your head back on asphalt, whatever.
Yeah.
Bad things can happen.
Of course.
So most fighters I know, especially outside the gym, and also they don't want to fight for free. So it's been such a confidence builder, knowing, I could defend myself against a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And probably do quite well.
Sure.
But also it's the confidence to walk away.
Yeah.
Because I have nothing to prove to this drunk idiot at a bar.
Sure.
I have nothing to prove to him or his group of friends or whatever.
Right.
Like I have the confidence to walk away.
I like that.
I don't want to hurt you, and I don't want to get sucker punched.
Sure. Sure.
So there's been so many benefits to fighting, but I would say confidence is the biggest thing, and also knowing when and where to walk away. Most people, like I said, don't want to be in those situations.
Did that help remove some of your imposter syndrome?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good.
Absolutely,
man. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've told this to Juan, and I've told it to a bunch of people. Like, I felt like that's kind of why I always resonated more with fighters.
Yeah.
Because they tend to come from dark, tough places.
Yes, they do.
And I've said this before, like the darkness in me sees the darkness in you. Yeah. I respect that you're working through that.
Yeah.
And with some of the artists I've had on the podcast, I've had this conversation, and I always bring it up, like a beautiful piece of art that is really vibrant. What makes it vibrant is the dark contrast.
Yeah.
The darker your darks are, the lighter your bright, like the brighter your brights can be. Well, I think that truly fits for people.
Yeah, I do too.
Like when you've seen the bottom, like you know how important the light is, and being a bright light and having that contrast. Like people see me as a very happy, genuine, loving person because I am now.
Sure,
man, I was not for a long time.
Did that ever the struggles as a young age, do you suffer in any way from mental health issues or anything, depression, anxiety?
For sure. I had some anxiety bouts.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too personal, but yeah.
No, that's the point.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. I mean, it sucks to say, and I don't know if I've ever told him, there was a wire that hung down like from an opening in our ceiling, because again, we lived in shitty trailers.
Yeah, of course.
And I wrapped it around my neck one time.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
At like 16 years old.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, but people go through it.
Yeah.
And it was shitty to like think that was the better answer.
Sure.
And it was never a serious attempt.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like grab a stool and like kick it out from under me or anything like that. But I did. Like there was a wire hanging out from our roof, and I was like, what does this feel like?
I hear you, man.
Yeah. And so like don't get me wrong, those thoughts have entered, and I believe they'll haunt me and most people for a long time, especially if they've seen some dark stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Unfortunately, no matter medication, no matter therapy, and trust me, I think everything's worth but a lot of that is ever present, and a lot of that, I mean, you can tamp it down. Thank God. I don't know if you can ever eliminate it. So anyway, I'm glad you have that outlet for the fighting to build confidence, and everyone deserves to be a confident human being. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree, and that's funny you say that, because I've had that thought. I'm like, don't let, and I've come to situations where I've almost felt like I feel bad about how confident I am.
Yeah.
Because I see people that aren't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't let my confidence offend you or keep you from being the best version of you.
Sure.
Because on paper, like if you look at stuff I've been through and what I have, like probably most people would say I don't have a true right to be as confident as I am. But I'm confident in my faith and who God has designed me to be.
Yeah.
That's where I draw my confidence from. Like that's who I can, and as a human, I'm not here to impress anybody.
Right.
But I am here to fulfill God's plan for me, and the drive and the the love and the passion that I get from my faith is what I want to instill in other people.
Yeah,
And again, it's not about shoving the Bible down someone's throat. We've had that talk.
sure.
But it is about showing you how my love and my faith can help you. You know, if my drawing me closer to my faith shows you how confident and how loving I am, it's because of my faith.
Yeah.
And yes, you can say it's because of the stuff I've been through, but I only survived the stuff I've been through because of God pulling me.
Yeah, man.
And it didn't always feel that way,
Sure.
but I see it now. Like I didn't get through those hard times on my own. Like I was pulled through those hard times.
You know, I'll say it again. I'm very glad you have that. You know, and that is something that I hope is ever present in him.
For sure.
You know, and so we'll see. You know, but I'm glad you gravitate towards that. I'm glad you believe so strongly, and
Oh yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, you spoke a little bit about some of the mental stuff you've gone through.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's tough, man.
Well, I mean, you know, and again, I know this isn't a mental health episode, but I talk openly. I've been clinically diagnosed with bipolar. It's not something that I just research in a book and say, hey, I'm feeling rough, and that's me. You know, you have 2 out of 10 symptoms. It's not that, and was put on medication for a couple years, and then, frankly, it made me feel like a complete zombie. And I like living on emotion.
Yeah.
And so, in business and personal relationships and everything, I make decisions based on emotion, right? And so when that was robbed from me, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But the way I mitigate it, and I do not take medication anymore, and thank God. You know, I've had doctors challenge me, and rightfully so. But when I say no, I don't need it or don't want it, they challenge me and say, well, that's impossible. Yeah. And well, it's not impossible. I'm telling you, I'm a living example.
Yeah.
Only because, again, just checking the boxes, right? And so, and I still suffer sometimes from the manic highs and depressant lows, but I can mitigate them a lot. And so, so I have training and stuff like that in the box to check to turn to. Hopefully, I can find faith, and because I'm telling you, I'm more open than ever right now. And we'll see.
Yeah, if you ever wanted to talk more about that off camera, I mean, I'd be more than happy to. I mean, this is a conversation that go on for days. I feel like.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's one of those things. Like I'll always extend the olive branch, but I'm not gonna whip you with it.
I know that, and that's what I was about to say. I appreciate your approach. You know, and I have other friends that are just like you, and you know, that believe and that just want to see others believe in something.
Yeah.
That, you know, hopefully can improve it.
I think the happiness and the security and the joy. Like,
sure,
I genuinely find happiness in the small things I have, and I get that from my faith.
Yeah, and I do too. That's the thing. And so, but I just want to believe that there's something bigger than all of us. I don't know how else to put it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And so, because we are so infinitely small.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can see that no matter where you go.
Yeah.
So anyway, I appreciate your approach and delivery, Frank.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's taken a long time.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously a lot of scar tissue.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all
have scar tissue.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, mine's no deeper than anybody else's.
Sure.
It's all about how you handle it. And we've talked about that. Like, I'm thankful for whatever reason I didn't take a victim mindset, because I could have been like, why was I there with my dad?
Yeah.
Why was I homeless as a child?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did I get divorced?
Yeah.
All of these things. It's like, no, like, okay, this happened. How do I benefit from it?
I'm proud of you for that. And only because, maybe I shouldn't say this, but, the least attractive characteristic for anybody, in my opinion, is having a victim mentality. I can't stand it. I won't listen to it. Yeah. I just won't listen to it.
Yeah.
And again, I know how that sounds, but it is coming from a place of immense challenge and struggle.
Yeah.
And adversity growing
been
up.
Through it.
Sure. And so,
Speaking from a point of reference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so I think, let's get past this. We can be stronger than this. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, I'd rather check my physical boxes than be popping pill boxes.
Oh man.
You know, so you see some of these guys that have or people, whoever,
sure,
have their Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like all these pill boxes that they're popping. I'm like,
and of course,
my Lord, what are you doing to your body?
Oh man, I mean, I've started telling my doctor if it's medication, I'm not taking it, and I'm just not. And okay, we'll live crazy. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But no, it's but I tell you, man, I've had at least one doctor say, I can see an immense improvement
Nice.
from not taking this. Job well done.
Yeah. Hey, sign your doctor.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because, and I'm not going to knock doctors. For me, everything I've learned for strength and conditioning has been post school.
Yeah.
And I went to school for exercise science.
Yeah.
But like I said, I dropped out when my dad passed away because I had bigger things on my plate at that time.
Of course, man.
And there are certain jobs that go to school for. But I feel like, especially, and maybe it's just like the atmosphere and the culture they're in around the people around on it and stuff like that, where I feel like some doctors are too stubborn or maybe too what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say egotistical because I don't want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
But like when you challenge doctors on stuff like that, sometimes their ego is a little hurt. Like,
of course,
I went to school for 7 years.
Of course.
But guess what? How old was your textbook? Or like, are you up to date on what's out there now?
Right.
Because I don't feel that's always the case, and maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But there are like, why aren't we prescribing more physical activity?
I could not. Well, the movement is medicine and all of that, and again, I couldn't agree more. And you guys are fighting a good fight, man, over at On It, no doubt about it. What's the community? Yeah. That might be, actually, that is hands down the fittest community I've seen as a collective group.
Yeah.
Than ever. And so, job well done again.
Yeah, and you know this from your travels. I've traveled quite a bit.
Sure.
And I had this conversation with Juan too. There's nothing like it.
No, there's not.
There's nothing like it, and I credit a lot of that to Juan. Juan, we talked about him a little bit earlier. I want to bring him back into this.
Yeah.
Very first met him, like I knew who he was as far as being online.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I don't want to say we never butted heads. We never like came to those kind of conversations, but it was always like a little oil and water.
Okay, interesting.
Like, yeah. It was because I respect Juan a lot, but it was always one of those things like we would talk a little bit.
Yeah.
And the conversations were
Okay.
And then we'd kind of just go our different ways, like kind of like just ships in the night passing each other. Yeah. I was like, hey, what's up, Juan? Like I respect him as my boss and as a superior at the gym for sure.
Sure.
But all of our conversations would mostly just be around MMA.
Okay.
We never really had like too like in-depth conversations or anything like that. And like it was always kind of like, all right, cool. Well, see you later.
Yeah.
But then I had him on and I got to hear a little bit more of his story. And see how close he was to not being one.
Yeah.
Because he almost left for PA school.
Yeah.
And Aubrey talked him into staying in training.
Yeah.
And it's like not only how different his life would have been, but how different my life would have been.
Sure.
And the whole community of On It. Like maybe On It Gym never happens without Juan.
I agree with
and think about all the lives that has impacted.
I know.
Just the gym.
What a powerful thing to say about him. He has, and I've told him this before, and I don't want to embarrass him, but he has so much more depth than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
And he'll call me or we'll talk randomly. He has been blessed, with business acumen that he's not allowed to show. No, not able to show because his whole life is training. Right?
Yeah.
And so, So anyway, I wish he could present that side of him because it is so wildly impressive.
Yeah.
Damn it. Sorry.
No, you're good. Let's get in real quick. I think he should be doing seminars.
Yeah.
On if you truly want to be a business professional within the athletic community or the industry. Like show trainers how to grow their business.
Sure.
Because he knows. And I told him this, and I've always said this about Juan. Even if he wasn't a trainer, he would be successful at whatever he's
100%.
Because he has that drive. Like I said, he has that business acumen. Like he would succeed because he wants to be a successful individual. And luckily for us, for you, for me, and anyone involved in the On It community, that passion drove him to On It.
You're exactly right.
And because the gym was built on his massive shoulders.
Sure.
And luckily he's got massive shoulders because there's a lot on it now.
That's a big man.
Oh, dude. Yeah, the thighs on that guy. But also like you said, there's depth to him.
Yes, there is.
He's an ogre. They have layers like an onion. You know what I'm saying?
You said it.
Yeah.
Nick said it, Juan. I did not call you an ogre.
Because
you're a gentle giant. No.
But he's there's so much to him.
Yeah.
But since having him on the podcast, his and my relationship has been great since then. Like we chat often.
Yep.
He recently went out of town, trusted me to cover some of his clients while he was out of town. So like I said, it's just one of those things like getting stories out there, building relationships. And that's what On It is.
Yes, it is.
On It is building relationships. It's telling stories. It's not only personal stories like we're doing today, but physical stories.
Absolutely.
You know how many people are in there that have turned their lives around because of fitness?
Man, I'm a different human being. It's funny. I tell you again, anybody that'll listen, I say that all the time, but between Juan and Eric and seeing how they train, I'd always trained most of my adult life, right? I mean, most of it. And when I got into college, you start working out just to look good on the beach and stupid reasons and all this. When I started training with Juan and Eric, there was this paradigm shift, man, of how I approached training.
Yeah.
The respect I had for training and actually training, right? Not just working out. And I brought that into when, I lived in Nashville, couldn't train with those guys, but it helped me, just become better, of course.
Sure.
But my entire approach shifted for the better. It changed my life, literally changed my life. And so, again, what bigger gift can you give anybody? And it's not just me. I see everybody.
Yeah.
Your community, the Onnit community, talks about you guys all the time about how, like you said, lives are transforming right in front of your eyes. And so, and hopefully I'm one of them, but I am truly a different human being than I was, so much for the better.
Oh, yeah.
Because of Juan, Eric, and Onnit.
No doubt about it. I couldn't agree more. Same.
Everybody. Yeah, I know you are.
Same. Because as a coach, like, I kid you not, I keep bringing up old stories that I've talked about, but before I was working with John Jones and getting him ready for world championship fight, like UFC, the highest level. And in the back of my mind, I keep thinking like, man, someday I'm gonna need a real job. Someday I need to push a pencil to have security. And
I hate that thought.
Oh, dude, me too. It's so
true.
But it's like,
I get
I'm
it.
enjoying this ride, but someday I'm gonna have a wife and kid to provide for.
I don't
know if this is gonna do it.
Sure.
Because we didn't. John was another client. We didn't charge him more because he's John Jones. We charge him like a regular client.
Sure,
we're fair. That's of course this trainer should be. So it's not like I was like making cash hand over fist from John Jones. No. He took care of his coaches for sure. He'll come up with whatever. But like I said, in the back of my mind, I was like, I need to do something different. I was like, well, maybe be a firefighter. Something along those lines. And even like when I first started on it, I was like, do you know Parr?
No, I love that.
Parr's a great guy.
Yeah.
I talked to him, and you can ask him. I had very good, very in-depth conversations about joining Austin Fire Department. But then, like, the more I got into Onnit, and then like getting, let's go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was saying, like, getting into the conversations, I was like, oh, Onnit provides me the ability to do this for as long as I want. And it's just such a great gym and such a great company, and Aubrey buying the gym back has been such a blessing because he is blown it up.
Yes, he has.
Since he came back into the picture with Onnit Gym. It's we've grown quite literally almost tenfold.
I've heard, and I tell anybody that only because when a business suffers, when you fall into the valley, and obviously it was COVID and there's competition opening and everything, and I specifically remember talking to Ty one day, and you guys were suffering really badly at the time, and it was almost kind of like knocking on death's door in a way, and to see the hard work that Ty, Larry, you guys, Aubrey, of course, I mean, of course, Juan and everything, and to resurrect a business in the fashion that you have. I don't know if you guys understand how difficult that is to do. It's an anomaly.
I can't imagine.
It's an anomaly. I'm telling you. And
especially
so,
in the fitness industry.
Yes, man.
So many places go under.
Of course. And so to have the loyal following, but to get people to return after, like I said, such a time period of just
such a lull.
Yes, man. Yes,
because it was. I mean, we were private training or classes only, and then we kind of changed that format. And then Aubrey obviously gave us significant financial investment with like the cold plunges.
That was huge.
Like making sure that we are still at the forefront, of the fitness industry. Because I talked to the girl that I've been dating up in Fort Worth. And she'd be like, oh, I'm so sore. I was like, go get a cold plunge. She's like, that's not a thing up here.
Wow.
Yeah, which is so wild to me. I was like, I have access to this, whatever I want.
I know.
And Onnit is just such a blessing.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
For all reasons. For all the reasons.
Yeah, I mean, great friendships. Great community. Everything that has gone into it. It's been phenomenal. Yeah. And like, I remember meeting you. I mean, God, you even... she came to the girl that I was dating, she came to town. And I just shot you a text like, hey, man, I shot you a text in support of like, hey, I'm going to take her to Dogwood. And you're like, oh, let me know when you go. And sure, you took care of our dinner.
Well, of course, man. I mean, well, of course. But the reason for stuff like that is you guys coaches, and Larry and all. Well, Larry's a coach too. Anyway, what you guys give to all of us, I think it needs to be reciprocated however we can.
That's awesome.
I just happen to open our own bars, and so my only gift is either booze or food, right?
Great.
But yeah, well, they can be.
Jesus gave wine and fish.
There you go, my man. There you go. I knew I liked that guy. But anyway, no, I was happy to do it, but it was more about, acknowledging the fact that you give me so much. I've taken so much from On It.
Yeah.
I've taken so much from you guys, in a good way.
Yeah.
And I just want to reciprocate that in any way I can.
So you say you might be getting back into business. What are you thinking of?
I'm talking about.
Talk about it?
Oh yeah, well
Okay.
yes, but not. I can't name the company, but I'll tell you. Hospitality for me, it's just it comes naturally, and so I'm talking to a guy right now that owns several venues. He's growing. His company is growing. I love this guy. He's been a best friend of mine for over 2 decades. But much more importantly, on the business side of it, we're very like-minded as operators. His culture amongst his staff and his employees, in my opinion, is grade A. He really cares about his employees, colleagues, and his business model is something that I resonate with. And so anyway, we just met last week, to be honest, and we're discussing possibly an operations role. And so because he's going to move, grow, and then also hopefully have a chance of buying into the entire company. Because I do think this thing is going places. And so,
very nice.
But I'm going to tell you this, I don't want to do anything until the beginning of the year. I have a bad habit of wanting to do something too soon.
Yeah, go too hard too soon.
Yeah. Just because to say it's all optics. Hey, I'm working. And maybe just to appease that inner voice of saying you need to be productive, right?
Sure.
I don't want to do that. Because I don't want to make a mistake.
Look at you maturing.
Well, yeah, I know. There's that wisdom.
Right, yeah.
It's fleeting. But anyway, so I'm hoping at the beginning of the year I can join his team because, frankly, that's the first opportunity that's come along that I'm ecstatic about.
All right.
And I think it's natural.
Yeah, makes your hair stand up.
It does. And I'm telling you, Nick, and I know you feel this way, I definitely want to work.
Yeah.
I don't want to retire. I can't afford to retire. I want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
But I don't want to retire, man.
Yeah.
I don't. I want to do something that gives me purpose and brings about a little bit of regimen and that discipline and all that.
Yeah. I can't remember the exact studies, but there have been studies about people retiring. Versus people who continue to pursue their purpose.
Sure, man.
Whether it's saying there are people that retire and then pursue their purpose.
Sure.
Which is a great thing. I think if you retire and then pursue opening up churches in Africa, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you choose my purposes. Like there's something to be said for that. But people that essentially stop pursuing their purposes, like when they retired, die a lot quicker.
I know that. And you know what's so funny? And because I've heard that many friends of mine in the past few months have brought that up. Do I look that effing old? You know what I mean? Like, please don't put me on my deathbed. But it is so true. And thank God above, I'm realizing that my purpose is serving others, And the reason I say thank God above, towards the end of our career, I'm going to tell you I was really burned out.
Yeah.
I was really burned out. And my other business partners were too.
Yeah.
Only because, in my opinion, we were ever present, whether it was to the staff or our patrons, right? And when you give so much of yourself, right? But then I realized when I didn't have that outlet to give, I felt lost. And so it's a beautiful thing, man, to realize that, yeah, man, others really matter to me and I want to serve.
And so the joy and the genuine happiness it brings you.
That it does.
Yeah.
It really does. And it's not to hear thank you or anything. It's just to see someone enjoying themselves in an environment or a concept that we created or an atmosphere that we curated, stuff like that, and seeing people return because they simply want to enjoy the atmosphere and ambiance that you're creating.
Nice.
I feel good about that.
Nice. Yeah, it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier. Oh gosh, I lost my train of thought there.
All good.
About serving purpose. Seeing people at the possessions versus genuine conversation.
Absolutely.
Because again, you've had some really fancy, nice things, and it's like the ticket, the sticker might make you happy for a second.
Yep.
But the genuine experiences with people are what last and what truly bring you happiness.
Man, 1,000,000%. And I won't drag this out at all, but you know, we've had people so much, especially now that I jumped on social media, they'll jump on and send me messages and say, I just want to let you know I met my wife at one of your bars. I met this person. I made a business deal. And think of that. My parents were visiting. We came in and met these stories that just like you see this community growing and growing, just like the effect of On It, you know? And so you're exactly right. I want and hopefully am known so much more for stuff other than stuff than for connections and for experiences and for, man, that guy was really pleasant to talk to when we were in his establishment, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't care if people think I have everything or have nothing. What I do care about is, hey, man, that dude provides a pretty good experience that we want to be part of.
Well, I know for a fact that everyone at On It thinks the world of you.
Thank you.
I think you're such a good, genuine person.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sure you see that when you walk in the building. Everyone's like, Brad, everyone loves you.
I'll tell you why that means so much to me without sounding like a Boy Scout. I mentioned that On It is home.
Yeah.
You know, you guys, and I'm talking from every single member in that place and every employee and Aubrey even. You guys are family to me. I've been going there, Jesus, man, for almost a decade.
Yeah.
You know, and so and I care so much about everybody in that building. So to have that reciprocated, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a very genuine sentiment. Like when people from the gym, employees, members, because, you know,
thank you.
Like anybody, what matters the most is what's said when you're not in the room.
Well, of course.
And I can assure you, man, like everyone's like, man, what a good guy.
I appreciate that. Only because your tagline, human optimization, right? Everybody in that building is optimized. And so I want to have that. I look up to everybody in that building. I don't know what else to say. And so to have people like seeing me coming in the building, it just means a lot. That's my family.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you getting, coming out of your semi-retirement to get back into the service industry. For a second, I thought you were going to say, because what's the new, Golden Bachelor,
buddy,
the 50
Let me tell you, man. Let me tell you.
First of all, you don't look anywhere near the age of the guys on that show. I don't watch the show. I've never
Good. You're not missing much. No, that's not a knock. I mean, please don't ever watch when I was on it. But yeah.
Well, it's funny because I didn't even know you were on The Bachelor.
Yeah, good.
Which we haven't tapped into at all. Which
good.
I kind of didn't even want to bring up.
Sure.
Because I never watched the shows, and I know you in real life.
Sure.
I don't need to know you from a TV show.
I like that.
Yeah, and again, I think the world of you. So, but I did see a commercial for. It's like Golden Bachelor.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
What is it? Is it 50 plus?
I don't know what it is.
They haven't reached out to you?
No. Well, you know what? It's funny. It's funny because Chris Harrison, the old host.
Yeah.
He's still, thank God, a really good friend of mine. But he's here in Austin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Now he's not involved with the show anymore at all. But I went on his podcast when a few months back, just kind of rehashing old stuff. And I'm not going to lie, man, because of that appearance, people have been reaching out. And I'm not saying I'm getting offers to do anything.
Yeah.
But there have been kind of like, hey, would you ever do this type of stuff? Again.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's tongue in cheek or whatever. And my answer is never say never, right? Yeah. But I don't know, man. I think my days on TV are long gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I look haggard and beat up these days, man. But
you can go on The Bachelor now and still be the most eligible.
Yeah. Whatever. But anyway, I got to tell you, man. I like serving others, and it is, and so that whole thing, I feel so fortunate.
Yeah.
To have been asked. I want to make that clear. Met some amazing people.
Sure.
But that's not me. You know what I mean? It really isn't me. I would like to serve others as far as.
Yeah, I don't know you as Brad from The Bachelor.
Yeah, good.
If that makes you feel any better, that's not how I consider you.
That cheesy son of a bitch. No, man.
You didn't even have a beard.
No, I know. Man, I look at some of the footage and I don't know why they let me on TV looking like that. But no, anyway, it's funny to look back at, but great times and great memories.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So and feel so grateful But yeah, those days are over. I think. I think. Yeah. Now, if I go on the Golden Bachelor, maybe Juan will trade me for that, like how to hand out roses better or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Rose lips. We'll see. Yeah.
it's a funny story. Years and years ago, when I first met the girl that I've been dating up at Fort Worth.
Yeah.
She knew someone very loosely affiliated with the Bachelor.
Sure.
This was right after I got divorced.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you should try with the Bachelor."
Yeah, man.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think they want 5'8" guys on the Bachelor.
One, you'd be a shoe-in. I mean, look at you.
Yeah, right.
I'm telling you, and plus, but you have
Put in a good word. No, I'm just kidding.
I will. I've had people ask actually, and I used to know the casting and the producers really, really well, and now I was on a long time ago. I mean, I'm old news now, and so I don't know any of the new, I guess crew, whatever you want to call it. I have absolutely zero influence. Not that I have much before.
Yeah.
But there have been times I've reached out in the past and said, "Hey, you might want to look at this person."
Nice.
And whether they did or not. So, but it was a fun experience. It's one of those you learn a lot about. Just it's almost like a social experience, experiment, and so good and bad.
Yeah.
But fun times. Glad it's over.
Yeah.
And let's move on. Meaning I want to move on in my personal life a bit. But again, don't call me out if you do see me on. Stranger things have happened, man. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, I think you should let the people know where to find you on Instagram or any social media.
Well, I appreciate that because this is kind of new to me.
Yeah, I know.
Instagram thing.
Social media. Huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's I think I might be 3 months, 2.5 months. I don't know. But anyway, it's Brad Womack ATX. No, not far from it. But it's Brad Womack ATX.
Brad Womack ATX.
Yeah, but
honestly, the motivation alone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Obviously a great person, but you post some badass training videos.
I appreciate that.
And you show off what the human mind can accomplish.
Thank you.
But also just what a badass you are. Because you also did SEAL Fit?
I did. And, 3 times. But the first time I failed miserably, and the second time, humbly speaking, I did really well. And so and I appreciate you bringing that up, and only because the whole message, I'll make this quick. I know we're wrapping up, but the whole reason I went on social media is kind of what we touched on earlier, is I struggle with certain things.
Yeah.
When I found that I make myself, there's no internal dialogue, I have discipline that this is going to get done today, I feel so much better about myself, and that transcends into everyday life. I'm living so much happier. I want people to realize that that's possible, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
and so
see, it's possible.
I do. And so I'm not some motivational speaker. I'm not some, whatever. But what I am is an old beat up dude that still gets after it and suffers through it because it makes me feel better, and anyone out there can do it too.
Yeah, and you're so genuine.
Thank you, man.
And even who you are in person versus who you're online, there's not a difference. It's not a character.
I'm glad you said, man, I'm telling you, because it comes from when I post stuff like, and again, I'm the least philosophical dude. I mean, I sell beer for a living. So when I post those little motivational stuff, it comes from with that, because I have to remind myself.
Yeah. It's a message to you that other people can benefit from.
Yes. Yeah. And so what you said about yourself too, and I'm going to steal that. I don't care if I reach one person, which I've had so many people reach out and say, this is exactly what I needed to see today to get me going. Man, that's a win, right? That's a win.
Purpose solved, served.
Dude, I don't care about monetizing it. I don't care about 500,000 followers or 5 followers. I'm not defined by any of that.
Yeah.
What I care about is helping one and hopefully countless others about just like, let's feel better about yourself. And for me, movement is just part of that regimen.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about it earlier. The whole reason I have the podcast, like I just told you, I was like, I don't want to be a podcaster. I don't want to be like in the forefront.
You're good.
Like, well, thank you. But I don't. But it came down to like, I do have a message.
Yes.
And I do have the ability to help people.
Yeah.
But like I told you, I was like, so many people have podcasts. Who's gonna listen to me?
Yep.
But it's like, well, do it. Do it because you don't want to.
Yeah.
Do it. Get your message across. Help people. Like, that's the whole reason I do it.
I love that. And that's because you're doing it that way. It becomes more authentic. And I appreciate you saying the same about me, because I'll tell you this, it might be good, bad, and ugly on my page, right, or whatever I put out there, but at least it's authentic.
It's you.
And so I'm good, bad, and ugly at times, right? Yeah. And so, I appreciate you allowing me to, what is it called, a handle or a username? I don't even know what it is yet, man.
Dude, I'm probably just a little notch above you as far as being tech savvy.
Well, anyway, but we're getting it done, and I appreciate you allowing the platform.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, this is a platform I want to use to get positivity sent across, get messages sent across, especially if it's something within the health industry or fitness industry. Like, show that it's possible. Well, it is possible, and you don't always have to rely on medication. You don't always have to rely on other people to make you happy. Like, it can all be found within.
But 100%. Yeah, 100%.
All right, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on. It's been awesome. And again, I feel like there's a conversation that could go on for days.
Likewise. Yeah.
But we'll have to run it back.
Anytime.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get your brother on too.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. I'd love it.
Yeah, that'll be time.
Cool.
All right, y'all. Appreciate you tuning into the Lions Pit podcast. Again, this is my awesome guest, Brad Womack. I'm your host, Nick Gomez. Shout out to the fine folks at LSKD for keeping me decked out in the finest workout apparel. Stay tuned. We'll see you guys next time.